By the beginning of September, the sweltering heat of summer had begun to fade, replaced by the cool, crisp air of early autumn. For Leo Shepard, this meant his 3 university girlfriends had ended their fun-filled summer break and returned to campus. Lily Reed was still in the pre-med track, occasionally getting lost in practical videos of rabbit dissections at home, which never failed to make Leo break out in a cold sweat. Chloe Miller, however, had little interest in the economics degree her father had pushed on her. With Leo's encouragement, she'd switched her major to fashion design, something she was genuinely passionate about. Naturally, Maya Pierce had followed Chloe and switched her major as well. Not because she had any love for fashion, but because she couldn't bear the thought of not being in the same dorm as her best friend. Maya's interest in academics was already starting to wane. She had her future perfectly mapped out. After graduation, Chloe would marry Leo, and she would move in with a happy couple. If they needed money, Leo would provide it. If they were bored, Leo would entertain them. In a few years, she could tease their kids, or maybe even have one of her own with Leo. It was the life she had always dreamed of. Eleanor Hayes's days remained just as leisurely. The music studio her father had funded for her was busy for the first few days after its grand opening, but Catherine, worried her daughter would overexert herself, had hired several professional pianists to help out. With nothing to do, the little heiress declared that she would tag along to Leo's new film set whenever shooting started. Life for Riley and Sophie Shepard hadn't changed much. Leo drove them to school on the first day, where the principal insisted on taking a photo with him. The picture was still going viral on their school's online forums, and the sisters had become instant celebrities in their classes. Students were constantly asking them what Leo was like in private or begging them for an autograph picture. Meanwhile, little Maddie Vance and Grace Reed were about to start the second half of first grade. With everyone gone, Leo's villa in Willow Creek Estates felt noticeably empty. The only person around was his landlady, who had some free time on her hands these days. Otherwise, Leo would have been coming home to an empty house after work. Around 8 in the morning, after having been up all night, a surprisingly energetic Leo came downstairs. Up all night again? Can't you get your work done during the day? Isabel Vance was in the kitchen making breakfast. Hearing him on the stairs, she brought over a steaming mug. Here, drink this before you do anything else. I'm more focused at night, Leo said with a grin, walking over. He took the small bowl, took a sip, and noted the faint taste of herbal medicine. Izzy, what kind of tea is this? Ginseng and goji berry. It's to help you calm down, she explained without turning around, her movements in the kitchen perfectly coordinated. Her elegant, full figure radiated a natural, domestic grace from head to toe. What are you looking at? Isabel sensed he hadn't moved and turned around. Her curiosity piqued. What else? A beautiful woman, of course. What? Is it illegal to look at someone so pretty? Strongly recommend, 2. Seeing what delicious thing you're making. I've been starving all night. Not recommended, 3. Izzy, I'm feeling really energetic right now. I want to do some morning exercises. Can I invest in this venture? Recommended, option 1 analysis. A woman will never tire of compliments from a man, especially one she likes. What else? A beautiful woman, of course, Leo declared with confidence. What? Is it illegal to look at someone so pretty? You're impossible, Isabel said, shooting him a look that was equal parts playful and exasperated, a hint of a flirty pout in her voice. Hurry up and finish that so I can have the bowl back. Ah, you always take such good care of me, Izzy. Leo downed the strong tea in a few gulps and handed the bowl back to her. Look at Lily. Besides a few texts at night, she's gone completely dark. You'd think she was off building a nuclear bomb at school or something. Doesn't she have her own life to live? Though she was ostensibly defending Lily, a faint, please smile, touched Isabel's lips as she handed Leo a plate of steamed dumplings. All right, stop your whining. Take this to the table, then go brush your teeth and get ready to eat. Yes, wifey. Leo planted a quick kiss on her cheek and headed off with the dumplings, grinning from ear to ear. Isabel's dishwashing paused for a fraction of a second, a shy smile dancing in her eyes. That brat. How's your company doing lately? Isabel asked casually during breakfast. Didn't you say you were getting ready to shoot a new movie? Yeah, I head to the location in a few days, Leo answered honestly. He quickly realized that Isabel wouldn't ask about his work for no reason. There had to be something more to it. Just as he was about to probe, her inner thoughts drifted over to him. He was up all night. Maybe I should wait until he wakes up this evening to ask him to go out. Oh, I see, Isabel said, her expression still perfectly calm. If it weren't for his ability, Leo would have been completely fooled by her placid demeanor. Thinking back, he realized he'd spent the entire summer either visiting Lily's family or taking the little heiress to his own rural hometown. He'd even spent most of his time flirting with Chloe over text. Isabel knew everything he'd been up to, but she'd never once questioned him or called to start a fight out of jealousy. Even when they texted, her main concern was always whether he was eating and sleeping well. It was as if this understanding, older woman would always be there waiting for him whenever he decided to turn around. Izzy, the fridge is empty, Leo said, taking the initiative. Why don't we drive out and get some groceries later? We can make a day of it. It's been a while since we went out together. Isabel was visibly taken aback. She swallowed the bite of dumpling in her mouth before answering coolly. We didn't sleep at all last night. Maybe you should get some rest. We could go tonight. Leo shook his head, taking her warm, jade-like hand in his. No need. After that tea you made me, I feel wide awake. I wouldn't be able to sleep anyway. All right then. I haven't been out in a while either, she agreed, a faint blush on her cheeks. But I'm driving. I don't want you driving tired. Leo couldn't help but let out a happy little laugh. Isabel arched an eyebrow. What are you smiling about? I'm just happy, he said eagerly. And since Lily and Eleanor aren't around, we can have a proper romantic day. Isabel rolled her eyes. You little brat. You're already thinking about all sorts of trouble, aren't you? Izzy, I'm a perfectly healthy man, physically and mentally, Leo admitted without hesitation. If I didn't have impure thoughts when I was with a beautiful woman, wouldn't that mean there's something wrong with me? After breakfast, Isabel went upstairs to change while Leo settled onto the sofa, casually scrolling through TikTok. It was a routine he'd grown accustomed to. No matter which girlfriend he was going out with, the waiting was inevitable. It was as fundamental a truth as men always being horny. Women of any age love to dress up and pay special attention to their appearance, especially when going out with their boyfriend. They want to look their absolute best. It makes them happy, and it makes their boyfriend look good. After nearly half an hour, the crisp, clear sound of heels clicking on the oak floorboards echoed from upstairs. Have you been waiting long? Isabel asked, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, looking a little embarrassed. It had been a long time since she and Leo had gone out alone. Before, Maddie would always insist on tagging along, and now she had Lily's feelings to consider. With a rare opportunity for just the two of them, Isabel had spent ages getting ready, agonizing over which outfit to choose. A little, Leo nodded, then quickly changed his tune. But it was worth it. That's a beautiful dress, Izzy. Isabel was wearing a simple yet elegant white dress. The fabric was light, the hem fluttering gently with her movements, like a breath of fresh summer air. Its cut artfully traced her graceful curves, accentuating her mature charm. Paired with a set of delicate heels, she exuded a soft, elegant beauty unique to a woman of her poise. Around her fair neck, she still wore the inexpensive maple leaf necklace he had given her. Really? I was worried it might make me look old, she said, tugging self-consciously at the hem. What do you think? Leo walked over, took her hand, and teased. Izzy, seriously. If someone as gorgeous as you looks old, what hope is there for all the young girls out there? Oomph. Such a smooth talker, she said, but the corners of her mouth curved into a genuinely happy smile. His backhanded compliment had landed perfectly. When they got to the villa's garage, Isabel was about to head for Leo's BMW, but he stopped her. Izzy, what if we don't take a car today? Holding the key fob, she blinked curiously. Are we walking or calling an Uber? We're taking this. Leo pointed to an e-scooter tucked away in the corner of the garage. It was the same one he'd had when he lived in her apartment complex. After moving to Willow Creek, he couldn't bring himself to get rid of it, so it had come with him. But ever since Isabel had bought in the Mercedes, he hadn't ridden it once. Lily, on the other hand, often used it to run to the grocery store at the entrance of the estate, so the scooter was still sparkling clean. Hanging from the handlebars was a pink helmet with bunny ears, something Lily had snagged on Amazon for $12. She had been thrilled for days, promising to grab one for Leo, too. I want to ride that. Isabel chuckled, but she didn't object. She just watched him with an indulgent fondness. With your status now, riding an e-scooter might be a little beneath you. Whatever. I've never cared about that stuff. I do what makes me happy, Leo said dismissively. He walked over to the scooter, took the key hanging from the side, and turned it on. The battery was still full. It would last a few hours, no problem. He swung a leg over the scooter and handed the helmet to Isabel. Come on, Izzy. Hop on. All right, have it your way. She shook her head with a smile, taking the pink bunny ear helmet and putting it on. The playful accessory, combined with her sophisticated aura, created a surprisingly adorable look. Izzy, you look so cute, Leo said with an unexpected laugh, pulling out his phone to take a picture. Look here, let me get a shot for the memories. Oh, stop it, Isabel said, her face flushing as she waved a hand, shyly turning her head away so he couldn't get a photo. For a woman of her age and experience, being called beautiful, charming, or elegant was something she could accept with grace. But being called cute felt like she was being treated like a little girl, and it brought a strange sense of embarrassment. It was like a girlfriend telling you, "You're so little but so cute." "Come on, it's fine. Just one picture. I won't show anyone," Leo coaxed, parking the scooter and wrapping an arm around her shoulder. "It's just for me to admire. Just one, please." "You promise you won't show anyone?" she grumbled, giving him a look that was more surrender than refusal. Her adorable resistance only made Leo's heart flutter more. "Promise. I won't." Leo nodded eagerly, bending slightly to angle his phone for a selfie. He broke into a wide smile and tightened his arm around her waist. Isabel glanced at her reflection in the screen, shyly looked away, then, after a long moment of hesitation, reluctantly raised her hand in a half-hearted peace sign, her gaze fixed resentfully on the beaming man beside her. With a click, Leo captured the dramatic moment, freezing it on his phone. "Perfect," he chuckled, looking at the photo. Isabel looked like a pouting newlywed staring daggers at him. Satisfied, he put his phone away. "You brat. You just love to tease me," Isabel muttered, her cheeks still pink as she reminded him. "I'm saying it again. Don't you dare show that to anyone." I know. Leo got back on the scooter and motioned with his head toward the seat behind him. "Get on, you little drama queen." "Hey, you're the drama queen. I'll smack you," she threatened with a raised fist before letting out a huff and settling behind him. She wrapped her arms gently around his thick waist, her cheek resting against his broad back, a contented smile spreading across her face. The scooter lurched forward, then stopped abruptly. Inertia pressed her tightly against him, the soft fullness of her chest spreading across his back for a moment. Isabel thought nothing of it, assuming he was just rusty from not riding for so long. Once or twice was one thing, but by the time they'd left the garage, he'd done it 7 or 8 times. She immediately knew something was up. Just as she was getting suspicious, Leo hit the brakes hard again. She was plastered against his back, her generous assets momentarily flattened like pancakes before springing back into shape. Isabel instantly realized what he was up to. She pinched his side, her face flushed with a mix of embarrassment and indignation. "You brat. Drive properly. Don't think I don't know what you're doing." Ow. "Okay, I'm sorry, Izzy. I'll drive," Leo yelped, half laughing. The e-scooter finally rolled smoothly out of the garage. After buying groceries at the supermarket, Leo didn't look for any amusement parks or trendy restaurants. He simply took Isabel for a stroll through the bustling market street behind the store before heading home. Women of a certain age have often had their playful spirit worn down by life, especially a wife and mother. It wasn't that life had crushed them, but that their focus had shifted almost entirely to their children and their home. They weren't really into hitting up the latest Instagrammable places for photo ops or going on shopping sprees with their girlfriends like younger women were. Of course, this didn't mean women like Isabel were without desire. You just had to find a right way to provide that emotional fulfillment. Leo knew exactly what kind of life Isabel wanted. Instead of shopping trips and fancy outings, she'd much rather stay home, cook a meal with him, and just talk. That was the atmosphere she craved. Coincidentally, Leo loved that kind of simple life, too. It was no wonder that, out of all his girlfriends, the one he loved most was this woman 12 years his senior. A woman of Isabel's wealth and status had never really used an inexpensive mode of transport like an e-scooter. When she went grocery shopping or took her daughter out, she always drove. She wasn't some fairy who floated above the concerns of mortal life. As the sole owner of 2 prime real estate properties, she certainly knew how an e-scooter worked and had even ridden one a few times. It was just that, in her world, cars were simply safer. E-scooters were convenient, but they came with more risks. The only thing that had ever made the landlady envious of the little vehicle was seeing the couples in her complex riding home together after work. It gave her a sense of cozy, domestic bliss, a warmth that was hard to describe. That was the simple life Isabel had always longed for, just as her social media bio described. Simplicity is the truest form of happiness. Now, sitting on the back of the e-scooter herself, she thought back to the empty life she and her daughter used to live. As the scenery blurred past, and she looked at the man driving in front of her, a deep sense of contentment washed over her. "Hey, this isn't the way back to Willow Creek," Isabel noted, the surroundings growing more familiar. "Are we going back to the Evergreen Terrace?" "Yeah, it's been a while," Leo nodded. "I want to see what my old apartment looks like. Let's make lunch there today." "We can't do that now. Someone's renting your old place," Isabel said with a smile. The property manager told me it's a university professor. Really? That's a shame. I wanted to revisit the place where it all began. Leo wasn't too surprised. The Evergreen Terrace was close to PSU. It was on the street right in front of the complex that he'd first met Chloe. With the school year starting, plenty of students would be looking for rentals. The only thing that surprised him was that the tenant was a professor, not a student. The place where it all began. Isabel tilted her head cutely. Do you writers always describe ordinary things in such a poetic way? Not always. It just came out naturally, Leo explained patiently. When you're with someone you love, or doing something you love, your brain just subconsciously comes up with more beautiful words. A flash of inspiration, I guess. I see, Isabel said thoughtfully. Leo's grin widened. So, Izzy, after lunch, how about we do something we love? Something we love. Isabel repeated the phrase, not quite getting it at first. Then her cheeks flushed a faint pink, and she gave his back a light tap. You brat. How do you always manage to turn a normal conversation into something dirty? Just drive. Hee hee. Leo pulled the e-scooter into the charging station under the apartment building and turned to help Isabel with her helmet. It wasn't a deliberate attempt to flirt. Years of being tormented by his two sisters had made him instinctively considerate toward women. He was meticulous about the little details of life, something all his girlfriends loved about him. Or rather, something all women appreciated in a man. The simple act of removing a helmet was perfectly normal for a couple. Isabel didn't stop him, but she watched him with a shy gaze. Why do you always treat me like a little girl? One. Change the subject. All right then, my old baby. Let me help you with your helmet, okay? Not recommended too. Scoff in response. What's wrong with that? In my eyes, you're a fresh, dewy young girl. You got a problem with that? Bite me. Strongly recommend 3. Be honest. Sorry, it's just a habit, Izzy. I'm this considerate with all my other girlfriends. You're not the first, and you won't be the last. Not recommended. Option 2 analysis. A mix of cheesy and childish lines that can often have an unexpectedly powerful effect on a mature woman. What's wrong with that? Leo hung the bunny ear helmet on the handlebars and retorted playfully. In my eyes, you're a fresh, dewy young girl. You got a problem with that? Bite me. If you're so silly. Isabel rolled her eyes in a way that was utterly charming, but her lips curved into a beautiful smile. She stepped off the scooter and linked her arm through his. So that's why the brat moved out so fast and made it big in show business. He latched onto a sugar mama. God damn it, that lucky bastard. Amidst the security guard's jealous internal monologue, Leo wrapped an arm around Isabel's waist and strolled into the complex, a wave of nostalgia washing over him. He glanced at the gazebo by the entrance and smiled faintly. He remembered holding that silly girl, Lily, while they talked. What are you smiling about now? Isabel noticed his expression and asked curiously. Thinking of something strange again? Leo objected. Izzy, is that really what you think of me? Isabel tilted her chin up and huffed smugly. I don't know. Only a certain someone knows what's really going on in his head. If that's how you're going to be, then you're my first target later. Leo threatened, his hand sliding a few inches down her back. The move made Isabel's face turn crimson as she glanced around nervously. Are you crazy? It's the middle of the day. What if someone sees us? Isabel was more traditional by nature and didn't have the nerve to be so openly flirtatious in public, especially with such a bold gesture. When it was just the two of them at home, engaged in their activities, she could become remarkably uninhibited and daring, like a completely different person. Just as they were laughing and talking, a woman in an OL-style business suit walked toward them, and Leo's heart suddenly skipped a beat. The approaching woman wore a simple yet elegant business suit. The slightly fitted material hugged her graceful curves, accentuating her slender waist. A black pencil skirt ending just above her knees looked both professional and chic, showcasing her beautifully shaped legs. Her black high heels clicked against the pavement with a crisp, rhythmic sound. Her hair was pulled back neatly into a low ponytail, unadorned but radiating a mature, steady confidence. Her almond-shaped eyes, etched with faint lines of worry, widened slightly in surprise as they fell on Leo. It was his high school homeroom teacher, someone he hadn't seen in a long time, Claire Shelton. Since their chance encounter on the roadside, and the time he'd accidentally swiped past her on TikTok, Leo hadn't seen her at all. They had messaged a few times after he first added her, but then their lives got busy. Between juggling all his girlfriends, Leo had no time to check in on her. The contact dwindled, and their connection faded until they were practically strangers again. The reason Leo was so tense was that Clara had been his personal demon for 3 years of high school. In her relentless quest to make him a better student, she had tormented him endlessly. It was impossible for him not to have some lingering psychological scars. Now, being caught with his arm around Isabel in front of her, he felt the familiar anxiety of a student caught misbehaving. Any man would feel a little nervous being seen with a woman his teacher's age. Thank God I didn't do anything stupid back then, or this would be a full-blown disaster zone, Leo thought, breathing a quiet sigh of relief. He'd added her on social media and lent her money under Lily's name simply out of respect for the strict teacher who had looked after him for 4 years. The flirty messages he'd sent at the beginning were just a bit of harmless revenge for all her serious lectures. He had no other intentions. It's not like because she taught him literature, he had to teach her anatomy. Since there was nothing between them, Leo felt no guilt. At first, Clara thought she was mistaken, but as Leo got closer, she recognized him. It was her formerly shy, introverted student who was now a rising star, Leo Shepard. It really is Leo. It's been so long. He's probably forgotten all about me, right? He must have. It's been ages. I can barely remember what he looked like back then. So how could he remember me? Her gaze shifted to the woman Leo had his arm around, and an imperceptible flicker of jealousy crossed her mind. After all, she had once felt a brief flutter of affection for this kind, considerate young man. But an adult's emotions are processed quickly. Faced with the heavy burden of life, romance took a back seat. It was a reality for most adults. Besides, nothing had ever happened between them, so Clara had no reason to cause a scene. She decided to pretend she didn't recognize him, picking up her pace and pulling out her phone to feign checking the time. As she drew nearer, she snuck a glance at the mature woman with Leo. Is that his girlfriend? She looks a few years older than him. She's quite beautiful and has a great figure. Does he like older women? If I had been a little more forward back then, would we have had a story? Ugh, Clara, what are you even thinking? He was your student. Get a grip. Her heart pounding, Clara shook her head slightly. Just as they were about to pass each other, Leo spoke up, his voice warm and friendly. Wait, is that really you, Miss Shelton? Clara froze. She had been ready to let this be their final, silent goodbye and focus on her own struggles. She never expected him to call out to her. It's me, Leo, he said with a smile. You fell off your bike in front of the complex a while back. I help you up. Oh, it's you, Clara said, a slow smile of recognition spreading across her face. She gave a polite nod to Isabel. Is this your girlfriend? For some reason, as she asked the question, her heart was filled with a strange mix of dread and anticipation. Yeah, my girlfriend, Leo confirmed easily, then introduced them. Izzy, this is my high school homeroom teacher for 3 years, Ms. Shelton. It's nice to meet you, Ms. Shelton, Isabel said with a radiant smile, then added a sentence that seemed slightly out of place for the situation. Leo talks about you all the time. Leo, an expert in social nuances, knew instantly what she was doing. The line served to both test Clara's reaction and assert her own dominance, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. He does. When it came to teaching or professional interactions, Clara was a master. But in matters of the heart, she was far less adept. She was only slightly more experienced than Eleanor. She couldn't stop herself from glancing at Leo, her eyes filled with a soft, surprised tenderness. Isabel, of course, caught the highly unusual reaction and shot Leo a look of her own, though her smile never wavered. Her mind worked quickly. Since Leo had introduced them so openly, they were clearly just friends. Clara's reaction was likely just a one-sided crush. Are you finding your place here convenient, Miss Shelton? Having reached this conclusion, Isabel smiled with genuine confidence, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. If there's anything you need, just let the property manager know. I'm the owner of this complex. No, it's fine. I'm very comfortable here, Clara said, her smile both polite and a little awkward. She had rented her apartment through the management office, unlike Leo, who had dealt with Isabel directly. As her eyes took in the rows of apartment buildings behind Isabel, she suddenly felt like the world was a very small place. This entire complex is hers. That must be worth at least $100 million. She's so rich. The apartment she had worked so hard to find belonged to the current girlfriend of the boy she once had a crush on. The plot was too ridiculous. Clara shook herself back to reality. Well, I should get going. I have something to do. We could talk another time. Ms. Shelton, it's so hot out. Would you like to come up for a glass of water and some lunch? Not recommended to Ms. Shelton. How is that student doing? Is she feeling better? Recommended 3 Ms. Shelton. Would you like to come up for lunch? After we eat, we can all do something we love. 2 sophisticated ladies, one sweet and innocent, one all offense and no defense. Just thinking about it is thrilling. Not recommended option 2 analysis. To connect with a woman you haven't seen in a long time, starting with something important to her, is the easiest way. TSK, I wish. Leo thought, his mind racing. He discreetly glanced at the long legs under Clara's black pencil skirt, then felt the warmth of Isabel's waist under his hand. Inevitably, a series of very vivid images flashed through his mind, just like option 3 suggested. In matters of romance, Clara was a sweet, clueless rookie. Her experience in that department was surely as innocent as a teenager's. She might be as blissfully unaware as Lily was at first, needing him to teach her everything step by step. Or maybe she'd be like Chloe, proud and coy, putting up a playful resistance. Isabel had also been a raw recruit at the beginning, but now she was a battle-hardened general, and her desire for offense was incredibly strong. Their battles often ended in a draw. Two mature, sophisticated women with such different personalities. If they could compete on the same stage with him, the scene would be too beautiful to imagine. It was safe to say that Isabel plus Clara was 100 times more thrilling than his dream of sharing a bed with Isabel and Lily, or Chloe and Maya. Of course, the fantasy was beautiful, but reality was cruel. These two women didn't even know each other. For him to achieve that, it would probably be more difficult than resolving his current disaster zone of a love life. But if Leo really put his mind to it, it wasn't entirely impossible. Lily and Isabel were coexisting peacefully now. It wouldn't be that hard for Clara and Isabel to get to know each other through him. It was no exaggeration to say that after two mature women learned the truth, their relationship might be easier to manage than the ones between his current girlfriends. What was the greatest trait of a sophisticated older woman? Acceptance. Ms. Shelton, how is that student doing? The steamy thoughts made him feel flushed on such a hot day. He quickly changed the subject. Is she feeling much better now? A girl in Clara's class had been diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. At the time, she had nearly emptied her savings and organized a fundraiser, but it was nowhere near enough to cover the treatment costs. In the end, it was Leo, using Lily's name, who had paid off all the medical bills in one go. He remembered Lily bringing home a commemorative plaque with the inscription, "Through your hands, our lives are restored." Much better. I heard from some of her classmates in the group chat that she's almost back to normal now. She just can't do any strenuous exercise, Clara said with a heartfelt smile, though it was tinged with a hint of bitterness that was hard to notice. Oh, that's great. Leo sensed something was off with her phrasing. Why did she hear it from classmates? Why hadn't she seen for herself? He probed gently. So Ms. Shelton, with the school year just starting, you must be pretty busy. Clara hesitated for a moment before forcing a difficult smile. I actually resigned a while ago. I'm looking for a new job now. Oh, I see, Leo replied, not surprised. He had already guessed from her words that she was no longer a university professor. He just didn't know the reason. But Leo had a cheat code. He activated his divine eye and looked at her stats. Name, Clara Shelton. Gender, female. Age, 32. Appearance, 8'6". Height, 5'6". Weight, 110 lbs. Hobbies, none. Measurements, 32-20-35. Affinity toward host, 10. Marital status, single. Current mood. After being reported by a student for running a private tutoring business, she was forced to resign, compounded by a debt of $30,000. She feels lost and anxious about the future. Intimate encounters, 0. So that's what happened. No wonder Clara had quit the teaching job she loved so much. She had been reported by a student for tutoring on the side. Leo guessed that she must have taken on the $30,000 debt to help that student and had to secretly tutor to make some quick money to pay it off. University professors weren't allowed to run private tutoring businesses. Combined with her strict teaching style, she must have offended some vindictive students. Getting reported was almost inevitable. As for her affinity dropping from nearly 40 to a mere 10, Leo wasn't surprised at all. After so long without contact, a woman's feelings don't just stay on pause. Seeing him with a girlfriend now, the fact that her affinity hadn't dropped below 5 was already a show of considerable restraint. Leo, with his good memory, also noticed that her various physical stats had declined. Even her hobbies of reading and traveling had disappeared, replaced by none. More shockingly, her appearance score had dropped by 0.1. It was clear her life was quite difficult right now. Well, that's good, Isabel said, seeming to sense Clara's predicament. She offered a comforting smile. College students these days can be a handful. Finding a simpler job might be a nice change. Clara smiled, not wanting to linger. I'll get going then. I have 3 interviews this morning. We can talk again when we have time. Okay, take care, Ms. Shelton, Leo said, watching her walk away with anxious, hurried steps. She got on her familiar e-scooter and disappeared from the complex entrance. Your teacher seems like a really good person, Isabel remarked with a hint of admiration. Although she didn't know the full story, she could piece together from their conversation that Clara was a dedicated teacher. She's just too naive. So naive it's almost foolish, Leo said, shaking his head. He could never bring himself to be like Clara, willing to empty her own pockets to save someone else. But, complaints aside, Leo still hoped the world had more foolish teachers like her. At least she genuinely cared about her students. The reason he'd lent her the money in Lily's name was because of her selfless character, and as a way to repay her for years of guidance and supervision. Well, Isabel's lips parted as if she wanted to say something, but then she seemed to think better of it and swallowed her words. Let's go. Time to go upstairs and make lunch. Okay, Leo nodded. A moment later, he heard the thought that Isabel had almost spoken aloud. No, I'd better not. That woman definitely has a thing for him. If I recommend her for a job as his assistant, they'll definitely end up cheating on me. That was a close call. So that's what happened. After lunch, Leo and Isabel were in the kitchen washing dishes together. Leo took the opportunity to tell her everything about his high school days with Clara, including how she had raised money to pay for her students' medical treatment. When he finished, Isabel sighed with admiration. In a society as complicated as this one, there are too few foolish people like her. Her line of thinking was similar to Leo's. She respected people like that, but couldn't quite understand their logic. And she knew she could never be one of them. Too few. Leo reminded her with a smile. Don't we have one right next to us? Isabel paused. Then the image of a beautiful flower-like face came to mind. She smiled wryly. Yes, she's a fool too. Back when Lily was being bullied at school, she'd had the chance to let those students face serious consequences, but the silly girl's heart had softened, and she'd signed a reconciliation agreement for those monsters. That kind of pure, almost saintly mentality was not so different from Clara selling everything she owned to save a student. Maybe there are just too many smart people in the world, all focused on their own self-interest, Leo mused, drying his hands after putting away the last of the clean dishes. So, God has to sprinkle in a few people like them to keep the world in balance. You know, that actually makes sense, Isabel chuckled. Leave it to the novelist to make everything sound so poetic. You're kidding. Leo gave her full, round bottom a playful pat. Izzy, I'll be waiting for you in the bedroom. Come on in, I have a few more poetic things to tell you. Oh, shut up. A shiver ran through Isabel. Her lovely face flushed as she shot him a smoldering look. We're practically an old married couple, and you're still so shy. After Leo disappeared into the bedroom with a cheerful grin, Isabel pressed her lips together and continued scrubbing the dishes, her eyes filled with a mix of shyness and playful annoyance. But beneath it all was an undeniable excitement and anticipation. Her movements unconsciously quickened. Isabel had a touch of OCD when it came to housekeeping. Clean dishes had to be perfectly arranged, and the kitchen had to be spotless after cooking. Right now, however, she wasn't even paying attention to which cabinet she was shoving the dishes into. She hastily took off her apron and tossed it into a crumpled heap in the corner. She found it strange herself. They had done everything a couple could do, yet every time she saw him, her heart still fluttered like a schoolgirl's, just as it had the first time he'd come over to fix her computer. Leo waited in the bedroom for nearly 10 minutes before Isabel finally pushed the door open, looking nervous. She was holding a plate of washed grapes. Want some grapes? Sure, I'll have some, Leo replied, used to this routine. Every time they were about to get down to business, Isabel would find some random task to do. She'd either cut up fruit for them to share or start chatting about neighborhood gossip. In reality, she was just mentally preparing herself. She was still quite reserved about this sort of thing. Before she got into the mood, Isabel was as timid as a budding flower. Only after Leo launched his offensive and she was fully warmed up did she transform into a charging cavalry general. It led Leo to often joke about it in gaming terms, calling it her Phase 1 mechanics, with Phase 2 being the main event. Leo always saw through it, but never said a word. He loved this ambiguous, innocent atmosphere, and he adored the stark contrast in her personality. As he always said, if you just rush straight to the main event, it's no fun at all. So, Leo deployed his verbal charms, coaxing a radiant smile from Isabel until she willingly and intimately snuggled into his arms. It was only after the last grape was gone that she noticed his mischievous hands had begun to wander. What were you doing? Isabel asked, her face glowing red. Though she asked the obvious, her body was pliant, an open invitation. What do you think, Izzy? I'm going to bully you, of course, Leo purred, moving the empty bowl from between them and pulling her warm, jade-like body into his embrace. You know, we've known each other for so long, but you're still so beautiful, and your body is still so perfect. I can never get enough of looking at you. I'm about to be 38, pushing 40. Just an old hag. Let's see what you'll have to say then. Isabel sighed, her voice laced with a hint of melancholy. Her age was the one thing she still felt insecure about. One, it's fine. I'm almost 30 myself. It's the pot calling the kettle black. Who cares about that stuff? Recommended 2. I don't get you women. Why are you always hung up on age? It's not like we men don't get old. Isn't it better to just live in the moment? Not recommended 3. I love older women. And you're not just a sophisticated older woman. You're a hot wife. How could I ever get tired of you? Strongly recommend option 1 analysis. If sweet nothings are too cliché, why not try an unconventional approach? Your relationship is strong enough for this kind of joke. I love older women, Leo confessed in a rush of words. And you're not just a sophisticated older woman. You're a hot wife. How could I ever get tired of you? Hey, can't you say something a normal person would understand? Isabel protested with a playful slap. Besides, how am I a wife now? My deadbeat ex is probably in middle school by now. So tell me, whose wife am I? Mine, of course. Leo Shepard's wife. Leo declared, stealing a kiss from her pouting lips. See? Nothing to say to that, right? You brat. You and that filthy mouth of yours, she grumbled, but her lips betrayed her, curling into an irrepressible smile. For the first time, she thought the word wife actually sounded pretty good when applied to her. Ha. In that case, Izzy, let me hear you call me husband. Leo pushed his luck. I don't think I've ever heard you say it. I will not, Isabel retorted, a hint of defiance in her voice, but her face was alight with a sweet, happy smile, her eyes sparkling with playful delight. Am I the first one he's ever asked to call him husband? Come on, say it, Leo whined, nuzzling into her embrace. After hearing her inner thoughts, he became even more shameless. Wifey, just once. Oh, stop it. You're still so young, Isabel said, her cheeks flushed as she tried to hold his misbehaving hand still. Her beautiful face was a mixture of playful annoyance and joyful affection. An accommodating older woman often has a soft spot for a lively, playful man, and Isabel, with her natural wife aura, was no exception. But no matter how much he begged and pleaded, Isabel stubbornly refused to say the word husband. After thinking it over, an unsettling thought crossed Leo's mind. Could it be that she was waiting for him to marry her before she would say it? Just as his mind was wandering, while holding Isabel's soft, fragrant body, a bizarre set of options popped up from the system. 1. Since you won't call me husband, then you could be like Maddie and call me daddy. Let's try something the young kids are into. Spice things up. Recommended 2. Izzy, are you trying to monopolize me? Are you forcing me to marry you before you'll call me husband? I won't do it. Not recommended 3. Izzy, I'm curious. Between me and your pilot husband, who is better? Do you still have a picture of him? I want to try something different. Not recommended. Seriously? Could a human being even think of option 3? Leo's smile froze. What kind of twisted option was that? What kind of system came up with these choices? As a firm believer in pure love, Leo found the suggestion repulsive, though he acknowledged that some unique individuals might find it thrilling. What's wrong? Isabel blinked curiously, thinking he was sulking. She gently pinched his cheek. You're not going to be that petty, are you? Getting upset just because I won't call you husband? Of course not. Leo brushed it off. He never wanted to force a woman to do something she didn't want to. Instead, he grinned cheekily. Haha, Izzy, since you won't call me husband, then you could be like Maddie and call me daddy. Let's try something the young kids are into. Spice things up. Ow. The word was barely out of his mouth before sharp pain shot through his arm. You brat. Can't you speak properly? Me call you daddy? Why don't you call me mom? Isabel snapped. Her face beat red as she pulled her hand back. Her voice was tinged with shame and anger. Honestly, that filthy mouth of yours. If you say something like that again, I'll rip it off your face. Isabel wasn't truly angry. She knew he was joking, but her more traditional nature found the suggestion far too progressive, almost beyond her comprehension. Do young people these days really get up to stuff like this? If their parents found out, they'd break their legs. Hee Mom. Leo's sense of shame had long since evaporated. He flashed a brilliant white smile and said it without a hint of hesitation. Isabel's pupils contracted. Her already flushed face turned a shade of red, so deep it looked like it might bleed. She raised her hand and started slapping him playfully over and over. You little brat. I'll teach you to talk nonsense. I'll teach you. Haha, Izzy, I'm sorry. Leo laughed, dodging her blows. The more flustered and angry she got, the more adorable he found her. Izzy, Leo said, catching both of her flailing hands and looking at her with deep affection. After a long moment, he slowly leaned in and kissed her, his lips conquering hers bit by bit. When he pulled away, he caressed her flushed cheek and praised her from the heart. "Izzy, you're so beautiful right now." "Stop it." Isabel looked away, embarrassed, but then her gaze met his again, this time with a newfound resolve mixed with a woman's gentle complaint. "You only say these things to coax me at times like this." Her voice softened, and her enchanting eyes seemed to brim with moisture. She watched as the man before her grew bolder and bolder, her expression a mix of resigned helplessness and quiet satisfaction. In that moment, her tone and posture were almost like a pouting child's, a stark contrast to her usual mature and charming self. Leo was probably the only person who had ever seen this hidden, tender side of her. "This isn't coaxing. It's the truth," Leo said, giving her another light kiss. He patted her head expectantly. "You brat. You just love to torment me," she murmured, giving him a smoldering look. She then expertly gathered her hair and tied it back in a neat bun. "Izzy." Around 5 in the afternoon, Isabel lay glistening with sweat in the crook of Leo's strong arm. She craned her slightly flushed neck to look at the man beside her, who still seemed full of vigor. "You're about to get busy again, aren't you? Don't even talk about it, Izzy." "I'm already starting to regret it," Leo grumbled, gently stroking her smooth back. "I never should have started this stupid film company. Now I can't get out of it. The department heads are hounding me every day to start production. If I knew it would be like this, I would have just stayed by your side and let you be my sugar mama." Isabel chuckled, her lips curving into a soft smile. "Oomph. Now you know how good a rich woman's money tastes, huh? Who told you to go off and be some ambitious hero?" "I'm done. I've learned my lesson," Leo mumbled, burrowing under the covers and burying his face in her soft, fragrant bosom. "If I could do it all over again, I'd happily be your boy toy." Isabel was used to this. She gently frowned and stroked his hair, whispering softly, "But if you were like that, I probably wouldn't have fallen for you." Leo didn't quite hear her. He swallowed and looked up. "What did you just say?" "Nothing," she said with a demure smile, too shy to repeat her heartfelt admission. "I don't believe you." Leo studied her suspiciously for a moment. Then a playful grin spread across his face. "Izzy, were you just so into it that you couldn't help but call me?" "Ow. I'm sorry, Izzy." Before he could finish his sentence, her fingers had found the flesh at his waist and pinched hard. "You brat. You're the one who made me say it." Thinking of how she had lost control earlier, Isabel was overcome with a mixture of shame and anger. She squeezed harder, making Leo yelp for mercy. She finally let go, pouting. "You brat. I never should have rented that apartment to you in the first place." "Haha. Too late for that now. You're mine for life." Seeing her pretending to be angry and remembering her unrestrained passion from before, Leo felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He leaned in and gave her a loud, sloppy kiss, leaving a faint wet mark on her cheek. "Izzy, you are so damn cute. Get off me. Stop making things up. Get dressed and get out of bed," she said, her cheeks pink with feigned annoyance. "I swear, you're getting more and more childish every day." "Hee, I'll be childish then. Come here, Izzy, let's cuddle." "Oh, stop it. You're messing up my hair again." You brat." When Leo woke up the next morning, his neck felt itchy and sore. He turned on his phone's front-facing camera and saw a collection of faint scratches on his neck and back, all courtesy of the woman still sleeping soundly beside him. A woman of Isabel's age, when she got worked up, was truly a force of nature. It was no exaggeration to say it was like she entered a state of demonic possession. If it weren't for Leo's unnaturally enhanced physique, he would have been utterly defeated by Isabel's full-throttle assault long ago. "How am I supposed to go home like this?" Leo grumbled, giving her perfectly shaped peach of an ass a light smack. "Stop it." Isabel furrowed her brow and waved a lazy hand, turning over to continue sleeping. She was exhausted. Leo sat on the edge of the bed for a while, his stomach starting to rumble. He carefully tucked the covers around Isabel, then got up to get ready. He chose a shirt with a high collar and did his best to conceal the marks before grabbing his wallet and keys and heading out for breakfast. The weather had been beautiful lately, the autumn wind crisp and cool. The Evergreen Terrace complex was close to the ocean, and the salty breeze was refreshing, lifting his spirits. The complex's landscaping was also excellent, the soft sunlight filtering through the clouds, creating a comfortable and pleasant atmosphere. It was the perfect place for a quiet life of retirement or study. After finishing breakfast at a roadside stall, Leo was heading back to the complex with a takeout order for Isabel when he ran into Clara Shelton in the e-scooter parking area. She was dressed in simple, casual clothes, and looked much more worn out than yesterday. She was staring down at her phone, the screen showing the order page for the DoorDash app. It looks like her interviews yesterday were all a bust, Leo thought. Otherwise, she wouldn't have resorted to being a delivery driver. He had seen her work experience with his divine eye. Besides teaching, where she was talented and capable, she didn't really have any other outstanding skills. 1. Offer appropriate concern. Ms. Shelton, my company is hiring right now. You could come by for an interview and see if there are any positions that suit you. Recommended 2. The landlady is still hungry. Pretend you didn't see her and walk right past. Not recommended 3. Ms. Shelton, it's hard to find a job right now. How about I offer you a way to make some quick cash? Give me the stockings you wore yesterday, and I'll give you $30,000 for each pair. I'll use them to make tea. Not recommended. Option 2 analysis. With a woman who has a strong sense of pride, it's best not to offer direct financial aid. Providing a reasonable opportunity in a roundabout way will be much more effective. Good morning, Ms. Shelton, Leo said, walking over. Where are you off to? Oh, good morning, Clara replied with a polite smile, not hiding anything from her former student. I don't have much going on right now, so I just registered as a delivery driver. I figure I'll do this until I find a full-time job. Just as the system had predicted, Clara was proud and resilient. She didn't see anything shameful about being a delivery driver. She was earning money through her own labor. Oh, that's cool, Leo said. Sometimes I think about selling my company and buying an e-scooter to do deliveries. As he spoke the light-hearted words, a complex emotion washed over him. The once commanding and vibrant teacher who had stood at the front of the classroom was now forced to make a living delivering food. The stark contrast was disorienting. Clara scoffed. Oh, really? I detect a hint of something in your voice, you little brat. Is this a humble brag? Not at all. I'm serious, Leo said, painting a vivid picture. You have no idea how nice it is to have a job where you can ride around, see the sights, and get paid for it. Oomph. I think you're just a romantic, Clara said, rolling her eyes playfully. Is there really such a thing as a comfortable job that pays well these days? Fair enough. Making a living is never easy, Leo chuckled. Just then, Clara got an order notification. Well, I won't keep you. I've got a delivery to make. We can talk later. Wait, Ms. Shelton, Leo called out, pulling a business card from his wallet. If you have some free time, you should stop by my company. We're hiring right now. Ingenuity Media. Clara read the name on the card, then looked up with a wry smile. So if I come, what kind of position could you give me? You're not going to make me a janitor, are you? Most people, upon receiving such an invitation, especially from the company CEO himself, would be thrilled or feel incredibly honored. They would probably promise to dedicate themselves to the company and hope for a good position. But Clara was completely unfazed, even joking about it. It was clear she either wasn't taking it seriously or she was just that carefree by nature. What are you talking about? Of course not, Leo said, feigning shock. If someone as beautiful and well-built as you ends up as a janitor, what would that say about the actresses at my company? A fleeting blush crossed Clara's face, and her voice softened. You brat, don't you have a girlfriend? Aren't you afraid she'll find out you're saying things like this to other women? Huh? What'd I say? Leo pretended to be confused for a moment, then acted as if he'd just realized. No, I mean you're beautiful, Ms. Shelton. I'm not wrong. Besides, my girlfriend said you were pretty yesterday, too. I even told her that if I hadn't met her, I would have tried to pursue you. With Clara, Leo always played it straight. Her personality was a lot like Eleanor's. Beating around the bush wouldn't work with her. Ding. Clara Shelton's affinity toward host has increased by 1 point. Current affinity, 11. Please continue your efforts. All right, stop. If you're not embarrassed, I am, Clara said, waving a flustered hand. I have to go. I'll stop by your company when I have time. Okay then. Drive safe, Ms. Shelton, Leo called after her. She didn't look back, but she raised a hand and gave a small wave. Feeling cheerful, Leo went back to Isabel's apartment. When he opened the door, he found her standing there with her arms crossed, a playful smile on her face. Where have you been so early in the morning? Getting you breakfast, of course, Leo said, holding up the bag. He walked in and changed his shoes without batting an eye. And I ran into my old teacher downstairs. We chatted for a bit. Just chatted for a bit. Isabel's eyes followed him. You didn't do anything else? Isabel had just gotten up and was hanging some wash sheets on the balcony when she saw Leo downstairs, chatting with Clara first thing in the morning. Even though nothing inappropriate had happened, and Isabel knew there was probably nothing between them, a woman's jealousy rarely follows logic. Even the most accommodating older sister is no exception. Besides, they had just spent a passionate night together, and now, here was her man chatting with another woman their age. It was impossible for her not to feel a little insecure. Leo, knowing there was nothing between him and Clara and that Isabel was just teasing him, decided to play along. She even asked me out to dinner, said something about how she used to teach me literature, and now it's my turn to teach her biology. You brat, can't you have a normal conversation? It took Isabel a moment to catch the double meaning. She blushed and swatted at him, but he dodged. All right, time to eat, Leo said with a smile, handing her the breakfast and pouting. You completely wrecked me last night. I don't have the energy to mess around with other women. You really overestimate me, Izzy. Oh, really? Isabel rolled her eyes playfully. I thought you were some kind of Energizer bunny, that you never got tired. Leo just shrugged. His conscience was clear, so he didn't feel the need to explain further. He knew she wasn't truly upset. He headed to the bedroom to change for work. Honestly, getting jealous over nothing, he muttered as he passed her, giving her full, peachy bottom a smack. Thanks to her regular schedule and consistent exercise, Isabel's figure was exceptionally well maintained. Pajamas were the ultimate test of a woman's body, and in her pure white silk set, her voluptuous curves were tantalizingly hinted at. The moment his palm made contact, he could feel a ripple through the soft flesh. You little brat, you're asking for it, Isabel yelped, covering her rear with a mortified blush. She balled her hands into fists and swung them at him wildly, like a little girl throwing a tantrum. Leo laughed and raised his hands to defend himself, seeing this childish side of her for the first time. What started as playful flirting escalated when Leo decided to stop holding back. He hooked an arm under her knees, supported her back with his other hand, and lifted her into a princess carry. Thinking about it, this was the first time he'd ever held her like this. He hadn't even done it with his other girlfriends. You brat, are you trying to kill yourself? Isabel's long, fair arms instinctively wrapped around his neck as she pleaded. You're still young. You need to have some self-control. Haha, to die at the hands of a beautiful woman is a noble death. What can I do? You're just too gorgeous, Izzy, Leo said, completely unconcerned. He gave her a kiss and carried her confidently over to the bedroom window. He pulled the curtains shut, but his movements were so forceful that a small gap remained, letting a single, bright sunbeam slice into the room. Peeking through the gap at the occasional resident walking below, Isabel grew extremely flustered, her voice trembling. You brat, you just love to torment me. Around 10 in the morning, Isabel sat at her vanity applying makeup, her beautiful eyes watching Leo on the phone by the window with a mix of curiosity and awe. Are all young men this energetic? This boy truly doesn't know the meaning of tired. Hearing her thoughts, Leo hung up the phone and walked over to her with a grin. He placed his hands on her shoulders and looked at the beautiful woman in the mirror, sighing dramatically. You're already so gorgeous. Why do you even bother with all this? It's completely unnecessary. You think I want to? Isabel's lips curved into a lovely smile, though her words were a complaint. In less than a day, I've had to shower 3 times. I feel like my burps smell like body wash. Really? Let me smell. Leo leaned down and kissed her lips, a faint rose scent filling his mouth. Hey, I just put on my lipstick. Isabel laughed, gently pushing his face away. She pouted playfully. Honestly, you're still such a child. Leo didn't argue. Instead, he pulled up a stool and sat beside her, examining the strange and wonderful collection of cosmetics on her vanity. With the exception of Lily, all his girlfriends had their own vanities, filled with an arsenal of makeup. He'd always wondered, his girlfriends were all stunningly beautiful, so why did they bother with the extra step of putting on makeup? It couldn't be a lack of confidence. Even a super confident girl like Chloe wore it. It couldn't be to cover blemishes, either. Their faces were flawless. It was probably the biggest mystery about women he had yet to solve. Isabel watched him pick up a lipstick, twist it out, then twist it back in, and thought he was inexplicably cute. That lipstick costs $300, by the way. If you break it, you're buying me a new one. Only $300? I'll buy you 10 of them next week, Leo said grandly. He rarely used such flashy, new money lines, not with his girlfriends or his family. Only with Isabel did he feel this constant need to prove himself, both physically and financially. He cared deeply about what she thought of him. All right then, from now on, you're in charge of buying all my makeup, Isabel said, understanding exactly what the big boy was thinking. She leaned into it, stating her demand plainly. Deal. Anything you want, Leo agreed instantly. He put the lipstick back, stood up, and started changing into a suit. He had a meeting at the company that afternoon. After Isabel finished her makeup, she came out to the living room to find Leo dressed in his suit, glasses on. The transformation was striking. Not bad, she said, walking a slow circle around the impeccably dressed Leo, her chin resting thoughtfully on her hand. You have the perfect body for a suit. It gives you a real, handsome devil kind of vibe. Hearing the familiar phrase, Leo retorted, "What handsome devil? This is called having universal appeal." Right. Isabel giggled, stepping forward to gently adjust his slightly crooked tie. "It's been a while since I've seen you in glasses," she said wistfully. "When you wear them, it feels just like when you first moved in. I can't believe we've ended up like this." "I know. I can't either," Leo said with a sigh of his own. "A perfectly good landlady, and now she's my wife. And the rent I'm paying is in the billions." "Hey, can you be serious for a minute?" Isabel pouted, shooting him a look that was more charming than annoyed, like a cute, sulking newlywed. "Let's go." Leo grinned, taking her warm, jade-like hand and leading her out of the bedroom. "You brat," Isabel murmured sweetly at his tall, broad back, a wave of happiness spreading through her heart. Leo had assumed that Clara, crushed by the pressures of life, would show up at his company to apply for a job within a few days. But a full week went by, with Leo busy at the office, and there was still no sign of her. Of course, Leo didn't dwell on it, nor did he actively check up on her. They weren't that close to begin with. With his company about to start shooting a new film, countless girlfriends to attend to, and a script he was barely managing to squeeze out in his spare moments, he simply didn't have the time to worry about a high school teacher. The next Monday marked the start of a new, incredibly busy week. As a kid, Leo had always imagined that being a big boss meant lounging in an air-conditioned office, signing a few contracts, and delegating all the work. If there was nothing to do, you just do your subordinates. It seemed like the easiest job in the world. In reality, after becoming a boss himself, Leo realized how naive he had been. As the head of the company, the CEO position was exhausting. There were endless things to worry about. If an employee's exhaustion was physical, a disruption of their daily routine, then Leo's was mental. An employee just had to do the work their superior assigned them to keep their job. Leo had to consider countless internal company matters and occasionally network with powerful people and respected figures in the industry to ensure his company's continued success. To put it bluntly, workers worried about themselves. As the boss, Leo worried about everyone's paychecks. Around noon, after finishing the last 20,000-word section of a new movie script and approving a report from the finance department, Leo left his office to grab a bite in the cafeteria. Perhaps the only real perk of being the boss was the freedom to manage his own time. He wasn't like his employees, who could only clock out at a specific time. His company was located in a bustling downtown area, occupying a large, modern building with a unique design. The interior was divided into various departments and offices, each neatly arranged and fully equipped. The company also boasted a first-class cafeteria that served a wide variety of delicious meals and drinks in a clean, inviting environment. In addition, there was a dedicated recreational area with a gym, a billiards room, and a library, allowing employees to relax and enjoy themselves outside of work. It was the middle of the lunch rush, and when Leo arrived at the cafeteria, long lines had already formed at the serving stations. Most of the people in line were young, attractive women, the youngest of whom had just turned 18. These were the actresses his company had signed to shoot TikTok videos and web series based on his novels. Even though he had made a fortune from his first movie, Leo had not abandoned the short video market. Instead, he had instructed Derek Flynn to double down on their efforts to build the company's brand recognition on the platform. While plenty of online articles snidely criticized his company for stooping to make mindless short-form dramas when they could be making hit movies, Leo paid them no mind. He didn't even have the PR department respond. It was a joke. If you had the ability and the market to make money, as long as it wasn't illegal, who cared if the money was mindless? As long as it was profitable, who would want to be a hypocrite? Besides, short videos were how he had made his first fortune in the first place. The group of actresses chattered and laughed as they waited in line, playfully poking each other's waists and commenting on who had gained or lost weight. "Good afternoon, Mr. Shepard." The moment Leo appeared behind them, queuing up for food just like everyone else, the group fell silent. They all turned, their expressions a mixture of nervousness and respect as they greeted him. Even the employees already eating at the tables looked over, their gazes a mix of curiosity and apprehension. The atmosphere in the cafeteria grew strangely tense, like a group of students goofing off who suddenly run into their teacher or a parent. As the CEO, Leo rarely ate in the cafeteria or appeared in the common areas for junior employees. It was no exaggeration to say that for many of these young women, this was the first time they had ever seen him in person. Their reaction was perfectly understandable. What's so good about it? I'm so young, don't call me Mr. Shepard. Call me Leo. Not recommended too. Use the cafeteria food as a conversation starter to blend in with the employees and create a friendly atmosphere. Recommended 3. You girls are all so beautiful. I'll talk to your supervisor later this afternoon. I'm renting a yacht to take you all out on a business trip. Promotions and raises for everyone when we get back. Not recommended. Option 2 analysis. No employee dislikes an approachable leader. A company with a harmonious atmosphere is more likely to thrive. Hello, everyone. Leo replied with a warm smile. How's the food here? Is it to your liking? It's great, the girls answered in unison, all of them secretly sizing up their young, handsome, and incredibly wealthy boss. As their ultimate superior, Leo naturally had a sort of idol-like filter over him in their eyes. Leo was also very good with young women. Within a few minutes, he had them all laughing and smiling, their affinity for him shooting up. A couple of them even offered to let him cut in line, but he politely declined. No, thank you. I sit all day, so it's nice to stand for a bit. You, on the other hand, look a little thin. Make sure you eat plenty. That simple gesture added gentle, considerate, and down-to-earth to the list of labels they had for him in their minds. So this is my boss? He's so handsome, and so young and rich. I wonder if he has a girlfriend. Oh my God, I love this type of handsome devil in a suit. He's like a cute puppy CEO. It's like a web novel came to life. I want his number so bad. His body looks so toned. I really want to hug his waist. I wish he would use his casting couch on me. I let him pet my head under his desk all day. God, I can't stand looking at my bald supervisor anymore. Leo was actually a bit surprised himself. All he had done were a few very ordinary things, yet had drastically changed their perception of him. Hearing their wild and unfiltered thoughts, he had no doubt that if option 3 were to pop up again now, it would be marked strongly recommend. Mr. Shepard, don't worry about it. I've already gotten food for you. Just as Leo was chatting with a group of young women in the cafeteria line, Jean, the head of public relations, approached with 2 steaming plates, a warm smile on her face. She had been near the front of the line, and, seeing Leo make a rare appearance, had immediately grabbed 2 meals. Jean had a masterful grasp of workplace dynamics. To the other employees, she was always a great colleague or a fair boss. Even if there were elements of networking or persona crafting involved, she never made anyone feel uncomfortable. Thanks. Leo smiled appreciatively and nodded his chin toward an empty table in the distance. Let's grab that spot. Sure. They sat down with their food and started discussing recent company matters. Midway through, Derek Flynn joined them, carrying his own plate with his usual fiery enthusiasm. When her plate was nearly empty, Jean brought something up, seemingly offhandedly. Mr. Shepard, I heard from HR that you're still looking for a secretary. The new film is about to start shooting. Is there even enough time? You're going to be incredibly busy. You need someone reliable to help manage everything. Haven't found the right person yet, Leo said with a helpless chuckle. In truth, he was getting annoyed. None of the candidates HR had sent his way felt right. If you really can't find anyone, I guess Ms. Jean will have to step up and help Mr. Shepard out again. Derek chimed in with a supportive smile. He'd been pursuing Jean for a while, and the suggestion was a clear attempt to score points. Of course, Jean said, slightly flustered but quickly recovering. She shot Derek a faintly flirtatious glance that made the big guy sit up a little straighter. He's been chasing her for half a year. Even a stone would be warm by now, right? The guy's a bit rough around the edges, but he seems decent enough. Maybe I should give him a chance. Hearing their inner thoughts, Leo saw everything but said nothing. He just smiled and finished the last of his food. All right, you two take your time. I'm heading out. Take care, Mr. Shepard. After they said their goodbyes, Derek cleared his throat. Ms. Jean, things are about to get hectic. I bought 2 tickets to a play. Are you free on Saturday? We could relax a bit before the storm hits. Jean was silent for a few seconds before smiling and agreeing. She stood up, miming a phone call. Okay, I'll call you on Saturday. Nice. After Jean left, Derek pumped his fist, then devoured the rest of his food like a man possessed. Leo was still unaware that 2 of his department heads were about to get together. After lunch, he went to the HR department to chat with the manager and happened to spot a familiar, elegant figure in one of the conference rooms. It was his high school teacher, someone he hadn't seen in a while, Clara Shelton. Hold on. Leo stood at the door with his arms crossed, watching the scene inside with great interest. His once haughty and imperious high school homeroom teacher was interviewing at his company. There was a dark, satisfying feeling to it, a sense of the tables having completely turned. Mr. Shepard, is that an acquaintance of yours? The HR manager, Grace Grant, was a seasoned professional. Seeing Leo's expression, she immediately guessed the woman being interviewed was significant. Yeah, my high school homeroom teacher, Leo admitted with a smile, then added playfully, that woman tormented me for 3 whole years. I'm still a little scared of her. Haha, I see. After observing for another moment, Leo quietly closed the conference room door and gave Grace a suggestion. She's a great benefactor of mine. As long as she's capable, try to assign her to a decent position. Understood, Mr. Shepard. After Leo left, Grace entered the conference room, dismissed the team lead who was interviewing Clara, and sat down in front of her with a smile. After a cursory glance at the resume Clara had filled out, Grace greeted her warmly. Ms. Shelton, hello. I'm the HR manager. My name is Grace Grant. Hello. Clara nodded. She had listed her previous work experience on her resume, so it was normal for them to address her as Ms. Shelton. Ms. Shelton, I see you're applying for the copywriter position, but your previous experience is all in the education sector, Grace said, all business. We're an entertainment and media company. I'm afraid you might not be the right fit for this role. Yes, I understand. The previous interviewer told me the same thing, Clara said with a polite smile, gathering her documents to leave. Don't be so hasty, Ms. Shelton, Grace said, her smile reassuring. I only said the copywriter job isn't a good fit. That doesn't mean other jobs aren't. I'm sorry, but the copywriter position is the only one I have any experience in. I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to handle other roles. That's not the most important thing, Grace said, cutting to the chase. I'd like to ask Ms. Shelton, do you have a driver's license? How are your driving skills? I do. My skills are decent, I suppose, though I just sold my car recently, so I'm a little rusty, Clara answered honestly. Her curiosity piqued. Is your company hiring a driver? Something like that, and the salary and benefits are much better than a driver's. Really? Clara's eyes lit up with anticipation. What's the job? Grace smiled. How would you feel about being our chairman's secretary? Clara was stunned. His secretary? Leo Shepard's. Yes, it's a very relaxed job, Grace said, painting a vivid picture. Usually you just need to do some driving, help Mr. Shepard organize documents, and occasionally help him plan his travel itineraries. The compensation sounds good, but you might not know this. I was Mr. Shepard's high school homeroom teacher. It just feels a bit strange. The thought of being a personal secretary to her own student made Clara feel incredibly awkward. What's so strange about it? I think because you're acquaintances, you'll get along very well, Grace said, seeing Clara's indecision and pressing on. Honestly, Ms. Shelton, it's not easy to find a job right now, and your experience is limited to education. This is an excellent opportunity. You should grab it. Clara thought it over for a few minutes, then asked tentatively, I don't know if I can do this job well, and I'm worried I'll mess up his assignments. Can I try for a month first? Of course. Grace agreed readily, quickly drawing up a contract for Clara to sign. Afterward, she began to earnestly and seriously instruct her on how to interact with Leo on a daily basis. Mr. Shepard has a very good temper. You just need to be diligent. He usually doesn't come to the office in the morning. You can drive to pick him up around noon. Oh, and starting tomorrow, try to dress like this. It's not a professional requirement, just my personal feeling. Our Mr. Shepard seems to have a thing for black stockings. Clara. Leo was in his office chatting with Eleanor Hayes when the doorbell rang. After getting his permission, Grace pushed open the door, leading a fidgeting Clara Shelton inside. Mr. Shepard, I brought you your secretary. Huh. Leo's eyes widened in surprise. He had asked Grace to find Clara a good position. So how did she end up assigned to him? 1. What the hell are you thinking? She has 0 experience as a secretary. You just push her on me like this? If something goes wrong, are you going to take responsibility? Not recommended 2. What a coincidence, Ms. Shelton. What's that saying? How the tables have turned. I never thought I'd see the day you'd be my secretary. Recommended 3. Well done. You get a nice bonus at the end of the year. You can go now. Come on, Ms. Shelton. Why don't you get under the desk and get familiar with your new workstation? Not recommended option 2 analysis. A well-placed joke can defuse the current awkward atmosphere. Clara was equally mortified. Being a personal secretary for a former student felt inexplicably awkward. Her legs, clad in black stockings, shifted restlessly. All right, I get it. You can go back now, Leo said, dismissing Grace before turning to Clara with a teasing smile. What a coincidence, Miss Shelton. What's that saying? How the tables have turned. I never thought I'd see the day you'd be my secretary. I don't know what your HR manager was thinking, Clara lamented, her face flushing. I have absolutely no experience as a secretary. Aren't you worried I'll ruin your company? One secretary won't do that much damage. Have a seat, Ms. Shelton. Leo went to the coffee machine, poured a hot cup, and handed it to her as he explained, "This is a media company. We're in the entertainment business. It's not some tech or finance firm. You just need to help me plan my schedule, keep track of important travel details, and do some driving now and then. It's a very easy job. You can give it a try. If it's really not a good fit, I can arrange another position for you." As Clara hesitated, her phone rang. She pulled it out, glanced at the out-of-state number, and immediately declined the call. A barrage of text messages followed. Leo figured it must be some payday loan app calling to collect a debt. Otherwise, she wouldn't have reacted that way. Clara put down the steaming coffee, her expression resolute. "Then I'll give it a try." "Okay, why don't you go find Ms. Grant and get familiar with the company," Leo said with a nod. "You can start tomorrow. If there's anything you don't understand, just text me." "Okay, thank you, Leo." As the chairman of the company, for him to show this much concern for her, especially during her most difficult time, moved her. "It's nothing," Leo said with a dismissive wave of his hand. "If you hadn't pushed me to study back then, Ms. Shelton, I probably wouldn't be where I am today." The reason Leo had helped Clara time and again was because back in high school, she hadn't given up on him when he was on the verge of giving up on himself. It was under her strict guidance that he had successfully gotten into Portland State University, where he met Chloe and his landlady, Isabel. One could say that Clara Shelton was, without a doubt, the first benefactor in Leo's life. After they chatted for a bit, Clara found Grace Grant again and asked her to describe her daily duties in detail. Clara took her work very seriously. Just because Leo was her former student didn't mean she would slack off. Grace was equally diligent, explaining the job thoroughly and giving her a tour of the entire company. Clara studied until around 7 in the evening before heading to the underground parking garage, planning to ride her e-scooter home. Although the situation was a bit sudden, she was satisfied. She had a reliable job, her boss was a former student, and the work wasn't as complicated as she had imagined. All she had to do now was work hard, make money, and pay off the debt from the loan apps before the interest spiraled out of control. Just then, her phone buzzed with a text notification. She assumed it was another collection message. But when she opened her phone, it was a deposit alert from her bank. "Your account ending in 6770 received a deposit of $40,000 on December 11th at 6:30 p.m. Bank of America, where did this $40,000 come from?" In disbelief, Clara opened her banking app. There was $40,000 sitting quietly in her account. "Grace Grant, Clara, did you receive the money from finance?" Smile, Clara Shelton. "The company's finance department sent it?" "Ms. Grant, I haven't even started working yet. Don't do anything foolish." Grace Grant. "Haha, you overestimate me, Clara. I wouldn't dare authorize a private transfer. This was Mr. Shepard's idea. He said you were having some financial difficulties and asked finance to transfer you some money to help you through this period." Leo's idea? Clara froze, then immediately found Leo's contact. "Leo, what's this $40,000 about?" "Offline mode, it's nothing. Just an advance on a few years' salary. It's not a gift, Ms. Shelton. You have to work to pay it back." "Huh." For a strong-willed woman like Clara, simply giving her the money would not make her happy. In fact, it would feel like an insult. So Leo used the pretense of a loan to tactfully help her overcome her current hardship. "Clara Shelton, a few years? You little brat, this is $40,000. My salary is $5,000 a month. How many years will it take me to pay that back?" "Offline mode. It's better than owing a loan company, isn't it?" Clara was stunned. She typed, "How did you know?" "Offline mode. I just happened to see it earlier. I don't know what you've been through recently, Ms. Shelton, but owing me money is better than owing them, right?" Ding. Clara Shelton's affinity has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 16. Please continue your efforts. Clara had initially been resistant to this unexpected $40,000, but after reading Leo's messages, she was deeply moved. A warmth spread through her, the feeling of being cared for. She was all alone now. After being fired, she had to face a $25,000 debt by herself, delivering food all day and sending out resumes everywhere else. She hadn't had a peaceful night's sleep in weeks. Leo's perfectly timed assistance, delivered in a way that didn't wound her pride, was a devastatingly effective move against a woman with no romantic experience. Offline mode. For old time's sake, I won't charge you interest on this $40,000 debt. Just be a good secretary. Sarcastic emoji, you little brat. Staring at the silly cartoon dog emoji, Clara's eyes turned red. She wiped away a tear and couldn't help but laugh out loud. No matter how strong and independent a person is, there are always moments of vulnerability, especially for a woman. Offering a helping hand when they are at their most helpless can often yield unexpected results. The next day around noon, Leo arrived at the office dressed in a sharp suit. When he pushed open his office door, he found Clara already there. She was sitting on the guest sofa, phone in hand, staring intently and silently mouthing something to herself. She was so focused that she didn't even notice him enter. Clara was dressed in a dark OL-style business suit. The black skirt, paired with sheer, light black stockings, tightly hugged her well-proportioned, slender legs. On her feet were a pair of black, pointed-toe high heels. From her years of standing while teaching, her calves looked slightly toned, and the stockings stretched tautly over her thighs. It had to be said, this outfit, combined with her killer legs and those black stockings, truly gave off the vibe of a capable secretary. But her serious expression made Leo inexplicably nervous, just like back in high school when she would summon him to her office for a lecture. The fact that she had been his homeroom teacher for 3 years made him feel like this office wasn't his, but hers. "What are you nervous about? I'm the boss now," Leo reminded himself, steeling his nerves as he walked over. Clara was so absorbed that she didn't notice him until he was right beside her. Leo leaned over slightly and peeked at her screen. She was searching on her browser. How to be a qualified secretary. The browser was the phone's default one, and the search results were completely unrelated to the keywords. In fact, an extremely suggestive pop-up ad for a game had appeared. Clara accidentally tapped on it. A cartoon woman in a tight-fitting skirt appeared on screen, striking a provocative pose and moaning seductively. "Boss, I didn't meet my quota again. Please punish me however you want. What is this?" Clara's face flushed red as she closed the embarrassing game pop-up. The moment she turned off the screen, she sensed someone behind her. She whipped her head around and saw Leo, standing calmly by the coffee machine, filling a mug. When did you get here?" Clara asked, her pupils trembling. She then stammered an explanation, her face burning. It's not what you think. I was just trying to search for things about being a secretary, and I don't know how this stuff suddenly popped up." If the game pop-up had been silent, she might have been able to bluff her way through it. But the sultry moaning had been incredibly loud. Unless Leo was deaf, he definitely heard it. "It's okay, Ms. Shelton. I understand. You're getting older now. You don't have a man to keep you company at night, and you're feeling lonely. It's normal to want to play some games. Not recommended to, I know. A lot of browsers are trashy these days. The search results have nothing to do with what you're actually looking for. You should switch to a different browser, Ms. Shelton. Recommended 3. Pull out your phone, pretend to record what just happened, and threaten her. If she doesn't act out what the woman in the game did, you'll send the video to the company group chat. Not recommended. Option 2 analysis. When a woman is embarrassed, learn to change the subject. Try not to make them feel too uncomfortable. Indirectly explaining away their embarrassment can often yield unexpected results. I know, a lot of browsers are trashy these days. The search results have nothing to do with what you're actually looking for, Leo said with a smile, handing the coffee to Clara. You should switch to a different browser, Ms. Shelton. It will be embarrassing if this happened again when you're around a lot of people. Thank you. Clara accepted the coffee, embarrassed. She took a small sip from the rim of the cup, her eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and shyness, stealing glances at Leo as he carried his own coffee to the chair behind his desk. He's really so different from how he was in high school. He's matured so much. Ding! Clara Shelton's affinity has increased by 2 points. Current affinity, 18. Please continue your efforts. Ms. Shelton, how many meetings are there today? Leo took a sip of his coffee and looked up at her. If it's not too busy today, I'll be in the office writing the script this afternoon. Clara was now officially part of the company. As Leo's personal secretary, she had already received key points and meeting times from several department heads that morning. Before, the relevant department heads would notify Leo privately. Now that Clara was a secretary, all these things were consolidated and managed by her. I'll check. Clara nervously pulled a notepad from the black briefcase beside her. Just as she was about to read from her plan notes, she realized how unprofessional it was to report to her boss while sitting on the sofa. She immediately stood up. Her high heels clicked on the floor as her full, stocking-clad legs carried her over to Leo's desk. She straightened her flexible back, cleared her throat, and then recited the recorded matters in a firm, clear voice. This afternoon, Mr. Jean from Cool Cat Music is coming to the company at 3:30 to discuss a collaboration with one of our actresses. The operations department at Streamlink Video is planning to buy out the rights to our company's film. Do we need to send someone to negotiate with them? The props department has already delivered all the equipment and props to the filming location. The department head just asked me when you'll have time to go take a look. Watching Clara report her work and schedule to him so methodically, Leo felt a strange sense of dark satisfaction. After all, this beautiful, mature woman used to be his high and mighty homeroom teacher. For such an authoritative and elegant teacher to now be his personal secretary, standing before him and reporting on her work, it was something Leo would never have dared to imagine before. At this moment, Leo felt he should probably give the HR manager a raise. Ms. Shelton, there's no need to be so tense. And most of what you mentioned doesn't need to be reported to me. For example, the Cool Cat collaboration with our actress. That's the public relations department's job. After patiently listening to her finish, Leo pointed out the issues with a smile. Unless there's a problem with the agreement or the collaboration, I generally don't need to intervene. If I had to handle every little thing, what would I be paying them for? Oh, I see. Claire was a bit disheartened. She had worked so hard to plan everything out, only to find that much of it was unnecessary. Don't worry about it. Take it slow, Ms. Shelton. This job isn't that complicated. If there's anything you don't understand in the future, I'll teach you, just like you used to teach me. Leo drained his coffee and teased, I was so slow back then, but you still managed to teach me well enough to get into PSU. Don't tell me you're even slower than I was, Ms. Shelton. Go on, You're the slow one, Clara mumbled, turning slightly away. A girlish, shy blush crept on her cheeks. Ding! Clara Shelton's affinity has increased by 2 points. Current affinity, 20. Please continue your efforts. Leo chuckled and didn't argue. He started to organize his desk, and Clara, after a glance, hurried over to help. If I had been more proactive back then, why have I been ahead of her? Clara tidied the desk, her mind heavy with thoughts as she subtly studied the considerate young man in front of her. Hearing her inner voice, Leo instinctively looked up, his eyes meeting Clara's gaze, which was filled with a mix of tenderness and regret. The moment their eyes met, Clara's heart skipped a beat. She feigned calmness and looked away, but her eyes flickered with shyness and nervousness. She gently bit her lightly lipsticked lip, as if trying to control her emotions, but the corners of her mouth couldn't help but curve upwards, revealing her inner joy. She gently bit her lightly lipsticked lip, as if trying to control her emotions, but the corners of her mouth couldn't help but curve upwards, revealing her inner joy. The memories of her ambiguous moments with Leo, especially the warmth she felt when he bought her medicine, seemed to surge back into her memory all at once. Since there's nothing much going on this afternoon, let's drive over to the filming location. Ms. Shelton, you can go get the car. I'll be down in a minute. Oh, okay. Clara took the BMW key and click-clacked out of the office. A few steps out, she click-clacked back, an adorably embarrassed and apologetic smile on her face, and gently closed the office door behind her. Interesting. Gazing at Clara's still charming figure, Leo couldn't help but smile, though he wasn't sure why. By the way, maybe I should buy a few more cars for backup in a while. Halfway through tidying up, Leo suddenly realized that he currently only had this one BMW. He had given the Mercedes to his dad. His current BMW was a Valentine's Day gift from his landlady, Isabel. It would need to go in for maintenance soon, and then he'd be without a car. Better safe than sorry. In the future, if he was often traveling for work or going on trips with his girlfriends, and one of them left something feminine in the car that another girlfriend discovered, he'd have to rack his brain for an excuse to get out of it. Yeah, I need to buy more cars. Realizing this, Leo made a firm decision to buy a few more cars for backup. After packing up and heading down to the underground garage, Leo saw Clara from a distance, leaning against his BMW. She was still engrossed in her phone, occasionally tucking a strand of dark, soft hair behind her ear, revealing her beautiful profile. When her long, stocking-clad legs got tired, she would occasionally shift her weight, the light tap of her heel echoing softly in the quiet garage. The scene brought the phrase of beauty in her ride to Leo's mind. Clara, like Isabel, was a mature woman with an enduring charm. They were around the same age, similar in height, and their looks were comparable. The only difference was their aura. Isabel's gentle and virtuous aura was more domestic. Every smile and frown exuded the alluring charm of a wife, something Clara lacked. Clara's maturity was one born from age and experience, a quality seen in most older women. However, because Clara had never been in a relationship, let alone been intimate with a man, she had no experience with them. When she was flustered or embarrassed, Leo could see a kind of girlish shyness in her. Especially when she saw Leo approaching, a distinctly girlish joy flashed in her eyes. She couldn't help but tuck her hair behind her ear again, revealing a flushed earlobe. Leo thought to himself, maybe this is what they call a mature woman with a girlish heart. Let's go, Ms. Shelton. Leo opened the passenger door and got in. At the same time, Clara slid into the driver's seat and asked curiously, "You're sitting in the front? Not the back." Clara had looked it up earlier. If you were driving your boss on a business trip, the boss usually sat in the back, while aides or secretary sat in the passenger seat. This made it easier to open and close the door for the boss, an unspoken rule of the professional world. 1. You're only asking now? Why didn't you help me open the door when I was getting in? What kind of secretary are you? Not recommended to? Don't worry about it. We were teacher and student, and now we're friends. There's no need to be so formal. I don't like all that corporate protocol stuff. It's tiring for both of us. Recommended 3. I almost forgot you mentioned it. Let me drive. You sit in the passenger seat. That way it'll be easier for me to touch your leg. Of course, you could also just squat on the floor of the driver's side. Not recommended. Option 2, analysis. No analysis needed. Just do what's comfortable and also consider the woman's feelings. Ms. Shelton, don't worry about it, Leo said, realizing what she was thinking, and waved his hand. We were teacher and student, and now we're friends. There's no need to be so formal. I don't like all that corporate protocol stuff. It's tiring for both of us. Oh, okay then. Claire agreed, a little confused. Leo then sent her a location from his phone. We're not going straight to the set. Let's go to this place first to pick someone up. The Hayes Conservatory? Claire set up the navigation and asked curiously, "Who are we picking up?" Leo fastened his seatbelt. "A friend of mine. She owns the conservatory." All right. Claire didn't ask any more questions. It took her a while to start the car, which she then maneuvered unsteadily out of the parking space, nearly scraping the Mercedes next to them. Since selling her car, Clara hadn't driven in a long time, let alone a BMW worth well over $200,000. Leo could see her fingers gripping the steering wheel so tightly they were turning red. "Don't be nervous, Ms. Shelton," Leo said reassuringly, the words feeling familiar. "If you can, I'll drive. Don't put too much pressure on yourself." Clara felt a warmth in her heart and said, a little embarrassed, "It's just been a while since I've driven. I'm a bit rusty." "Then you could be in charge of this car, key from now on," Leo said generously. "I need to buy a new car in a few days anyway. You can use this to practice your driving. We'll probably be driving a lot more in the coming months." "Okay, I will. Thank you," Clara said gratefully. "If it weren't for your help, I don't know what I would have done these past few days." 1. State seriously. Don't get the wrong idea. I've kept a record of all the money I gave you, so don't even think about skipping out on the debt. And this car isn't a gift. It's a loaner for you to practice with. Not recommended too. Say jokingly. What can I say? You're beautiful, Ms. Shelton. If you weren't, I wouldn't be interested in helping you. Recommended 3. Touch her stocking-clad thigh, Ms. Shelton. We're both adults. Why do you think I've been helping you over and over again? Not recommended. Option 2, analysis. For a straightforward woman, being direct is the most unstoppable form of attack. Remember, this only works if your words aren't greasy and she already has a certain level of affinity for you. What can I say? You're beautiful, Ms. Shelton, Leo praised with a casual expression. If you weren't, I wouldn't be interested in helping you. Ah. Clara glanced at Leo, both surprised and delighted. Her face flushed slightly as she asked, "Is that the only reason you're helping me?" "What else?" Leo retorted matter-of-factly. "Why do you think I'd help you? Do I have money to burn? Wouldn't it be better to just let tens of thousands of dollars sit in the bank and collect interest?" Clara was speechless, unable to find a single word to refute him. She had thought Leo was helping her time, and again, out of respect for their past teacher-student relationship. Who would have thought it was for such a mundane reason? The most crucial part was that she couldn't bring herself to argue. After all, women love to hear compliments, especially sweet nothings from a guy they like. Does he really think that? Why would he say something like that to me? Doesn't he have a girlfriend? Is he trying to sleep with me? The Hayes Conservatory was the most luxurious music school in Portland. Several nationally renowned musicians served as guest instructors, and even many popular celebrities had promoted it. The country's most famous pianist, Lang Lang himself, had personally recommended it. The conservatory was located in the center of several private schools and high-end residential communities, surrounded by upper-middle-class families. Wealthy parents placed great importance on their children's hobbies. On the day the Hayes Conservatory opened, all several hundred student slots were filled instantly. Every student was the child of a prominent or wealthy family. Furthermore, the conservatory's actual owner was Eleanor Hayes, the daughter of Portland's richest man. This made the surrounding parents even more desperate to secure a spot for their children, hoping their kids could mingle with the tycoon's daughter. Even Clara, who knew nothing about music, knew that the owner of this conservatory was the daughter of Portland's wealthiest man. They drove to the Hayes Conservatory and were led inside by a greeter at the door. Inside, the spacious and bright lobby was filled with all kinds of musical instruments, from traditional pianos and violins to modern electronic keyboards and guitars. The practice rooms had huge glass windows, through which one could clearly see rows of students sitting with perfect posture, playing their instruments. The soundproofing was excellent. Only when a door was opened would the melodious music drift out. Clara observed the students in the practice rooms and asked in a low voice, "Is your friend practicing in there?" "No, she teaches," Leo replied flatly. The greeter led them to a waiting area behind a piano studio, where they joined a dozen other parents watching the dozens of girls through the glass window. On the stage at the front of the room stood a gleaming black piano. A young woman in a light blue school uniform sat elegantly at the piano bench, playing. Her fingers danced lightly on the black and white keys, producing a crisp, beautiful sound. The wonderful melody flowed like a clear spring into the heart of every listener, leaving them mesmerized. Some of the parents closed their eyes to enjoy the music, while others took out their phones to record. Only Leo stared at the girl with a look of surprise. At first, he thought he was mistaken. He squinted for a moment and realized that the girl in the school uniform was indeed Eleanor Hayes. She was even wearing a private school uniform. American public schools didn't typically have skirt uniforms like this one. Eleanor's uniform was somewhat like a sailor suit, but the skirt wasn't as short, with the pleats almost reaching her knees. Still, it was the first time Leo had seen Eleanor in a school uniform, and it had a unique charm. Why is this bitch wearing a school uniform? Is she trying to pull something again? Leo wondered aloud to himself. Just then, Eleanor happened to spot Leo among the parents and gave him a sweet smile. Leo snapped back to reality and smiled and nodded in return, then mouthed silently, "Little vixen." Eleanor understood his words. She pouted her cherry lips and shot him a cute, coquettish glare, as if to say, "Damn you, all you ever do is call me names." But the little heiress clearly loved it. A happy and excited smile played on her lips, and the music she played became noticeably more cheerful. "Leo, is that your friend?" Clara asked in a surprised whisper. "The friend you mentioned is Eleanor Hayes, the daughter of Portland's richest man." Eleanor had once scored a perfect 1600 on her SATs, making education news in Portland. As a teacher, Clara naturally knew about her. The daughter of Portland's richest man, an incredibly talented pianist, who had opened the city's most famous conservatory. The only thing Clara hadn't expected was that such an outstanding young woman knew Leo. Yeah, Leo nodded, not explaining further, mainly because his relationship with the little heiress was too bizarre. Any normal person who found out would have their jaw drop. Who could imagine that this highly anticipated, stunningly beautiful ice queen was, in private, a pervert who loved being bullied, loved her boyfriend cheating on her, and even loved licking his fingers? Plink! The beautiful, melodious piano music suddenly stopped, a clear wrong note hanging in the air. The parents all turned to look at Eleanor on the stage with surprise. It was unexpected for a piano master like her to make such an obvious mistake. Leo was stunned for a moment, then looked sharply at Eleanor. The little heiress was staring at him, and Clara with a dazed expression. Her breathing was visibly quickening, and even her piano playing became chaotic and disorganized. The students below the stage looked at each other in confusion, not knowing what was happening. Only a few more knowledgeable girls felt that Eleanor's current state was exactly like the heroines in those endurance films they had seen. Could someone really be using a remote control on her from behind? Hey, focus on your teaching. There are so many people watching. Leo immediately knew that his presence with Clara had triggered her bizarre mindset again. He frantically gestured with his hands. Seeing Leo's panicked expression, Eleanor finally came back to her senses. A faint, imperceptible blush appeared on her delicate face, and her eyes sparkled with a happy, intoxicating smile. Sorry, let's continue." After composing herself for a moment, Eleanor smiled apologetically, and her slender fingers resumed playing the piano. The beautiful, melodious sound once again filled the room. Only, in a place no one could see, the little heiress's legs had already started rubbing together uncontrollably. The parents gradually quieted down, not thinking much of the small mistake. What was wrong with her just now? It looked like she really had to go to the bathroom, Clara said, having also noticed Eleanor's strange behavior. She asked curiously, "I saw you gesturing to her for a while. Do you know what she was doing?" "She probably just needed the restroom. Sitting all day, it's easy to have to go," Leo said with a weak smile, sighing in exasperation. The little heiress was great in every way, except for this mechanism of hers that could be triggered anytime, anywhere. It was just too much. How could you play the game if a character was that overpowered? After waiting in the VIP room for about 10 minutes, Eleanor stormed in, striding purposefully towards them. Miss Hayes, hello, I'm... Fuck you, Leo Shepard. Question mark. Clara had just started a polite greeting when Eleanor marched right up to Leo, planted her hands on her slender hips, and glared down at him with her sharp, beautiful eyes, her lips pouting slightly as she cursed without reservation. You son of a bitch, were you calling me a vixen down there just now? Huh? Who called you that? Leo feigned ignorance, crossing his arms and leaning back in his chair smugly. This is a society with laws. You have no proof. Be careful, or I'll sue you for slander. You definitely did. I know you. Eleanor huffed, raising a powdered fist and playfully punching Leo's arm. That's for calling me names. That's for calling me names. All right, stop messing around. Leo dodged a few times with a smile before standing up to make introductions. Let me introduce you. This is my high school teacher, Ms. Shelton. She's my secretary now. Ms. Shelton, this is my friend, Eleanor Hayes. You probably know who she is. Oh, Miss Hayes, hello. Clara snapped out of her shock from Eleanor's crude language and offered an awkward but polite smile. She never would have imagined that this academically gifted and outstanding young woman, so praised by the media, was privately a foul-mouthed girl whose behavior was more like a delinquent's. In fact, many people were surprised when they saw the real Eleanor. It was mainly because she was too beautiful. When she wasn't speaking, her figure and looks were the epitome of a cool, aloof goddess. But once she opened her mouth, that unsettling contrast emerged. It was like a fan of Scarlett Johansson accidentally seeing their beloved goddess at a dive bar, casually drinking beer and playing drinking games with a bunch of roughnecks. Eleanor quietly sized up Clara, then covered her mouth with her hand and leaned close to Leo, whispering, "Is she one of them, too?" Leo knew what she meant and whispered back, "No, she's just my secretary. Don't think I'm that bad. TSK, what a pity. And I was so excited just now." Eleanor clicked her tongue in disappointment, then wrapped her arm around Leo's and smiled sweetly. "Hello, Ms. Shelton. I'm Leo's girlfriend. It's a pleasure to meet you." "Hey," Leo yelped. He hadn't expected Eleanor to be so direct with Clara about their relationship. If Clara hadn't met his other girlfriends, it would be easy to fool her. But she had met his landlady, Isabel, and knew that Isabel was his girlfriend. Now, with another one popping up, wouldn't Leo's player status be completely exposed? Clara's reaction was, as expected, one of utter shock. Her almond-shaped eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at the two of them. Isn't that other woman who's my age his girlfriend? Or is this guy lying to both of them, playing two girls at once? The air froze for a dozen seconds. Seeing Clara's stunned expression, Eleanor immediately realized she must know about Leo's other girlfriends. "No, I mean I'm Leo's female friend," Eleanor said, releasing Leo's arm as if she'd been zapped and frantically correcting herself. After all, there could be platonic friendships between men and women. You understand what I mean, right, Miss Shelton? "Oh, of course, I understand," Clara said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She shot a subtle glance at Leo, a hint of relief mixed with something else in her gaze. "Boss, the props team just called. They're asking when we're heading over. Let's go now." Seeing that Clara intended to see but not speak, Leo breathed a sigh of relief. But as they reached the door, he heard her inner monologue roasting him. "I knew it. This kid is so smooth-tongued, so good at sweet-talking me. His private life must be a total mess. I can't believe it's true. The entertainment industry really is chaotic, but he's playing the daughter of the city's richest man. Isn't he afraid she'll find out? And that landlady, she probably has her own methods. This kid really isn't afraid of dying. Whatever, I'll just pretend I didn't see anything. I'll do my job, pay back that $40,000, and be done with it. Player, to think I actually used to like you." In the car, Leo didn't sit in the passenger seat. Instead, he sat in the back with Eleanor, laughing and talking while Clara drove. Since the cat was out of the bag, Leo didn't bother hiding it anymore. The whole thing was already a disaster zone. There was no house to collapse. So he openly examined Eleanor's school uniform. It was indeed an exclusive private school uniform, with a crest on the chest and a tie pattern woven into the fabric. It clearly wasn't from just any private school. Eleanor, seeming to realize Leo no longer cared about Clara's opinion, brazenly cooperated with him, occasionally lifting her skirt or placing her leg on his. "By the way, why did you decide to wear a school uniform today?" Leo asked curiously. The little heiress seemed significantly more innocent. Maybe that was the power of a school uniform. Any girl who put one on gained a certain youthful quality, especially one with a short skirt. Mrs. Davis found it when she was organizing my closet today, Eleanor said, holding Leo's hand and lifting her pale neck, proudly seeking praise. I tried it on and found it still fits, so I thought I'd wear it for you to see. Hee hee, am I a good girl? Huh? Why not ask if you look pretty? Leo didn't quite understand Eleanor's unique way of thinking, so different from his other girlfriends. If Chloe were her age and wore a school uniform for him, she would definitely ask expectantly if she looked pretty. Because I'm already pretty, Eleanor said, draping herself over Leo and blinking her clear eyes with pure innocence. Why would I ask a question I already know the answer to? You're not blind, are you? Can't you see I'm beautiful? All right, so we're playing this game, Leo said, unsure if Eleanor was being genuinely innocent or deliberately flexing. Hee Leo, this uniform also comes with a pair of white over-the-knee socks, Eleanor said excitedly. When you have time, I'll wear them for you. We can go to your place and role-play a teacher-student scenario. You be the teacher, and I'll be the student. Ahem. Stop it. Leo noticed Clara's astonished expression in the rearview mirror and quickly whispered a warning. You can tell me this stuff on the phone later. Don't be so obvious in front of an expert. Leo's main purpose for visiting the filming location today was to inspect the site. The rest was to show Clara his daily work process and habits. Putting aside Leo's player behavior, Clara was a very diligent student. She even introduced herself to several team leads and the head of the props department. Eleanor was just there to have fun. She was either playing with props in the props department or trying on various flamboyant outfits in the wardrobe department, demanding that Leo rate her looks. This film crew was composed of Leo's original team. From props to wardrobe to the camera department, they were all familiar faces. Eleanor had been hanging around since Leo first started making short videos, so she knew everyone. Calling them old acquaintances wouldn't be an overstatement. Eleanor was beautiful and had a polite and friendly demeanor. No matter which department she visited, she would always greet them politely beforehand. Nobody could bring themselves to dislike this beautiful and lively girl. Of course, the most important reason was her reputation as the daughter of the city's richest man. Ever since she arrived in Florida by helicopter, basically the entire crew, from top to bottom, knew Eleanor's true identity. As evening approached, the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, beautiful and serene. After a full day of preparation, the crew finally got a moment to breathe. The staff stopped their work one by one, just as the van delivering meals arrived. A few minutes later, almost everyone was holding a steaming box lunch, the most common meal on most film sets. A few actors even took out their phones to document their daily lives on set. News of Leo's new film being in production had already been released by the company's marketing department. Due to the explosive success of his first movie, Leo's company was now receiving a lot of public attention. Even an employee playing a random passerby could get tens of thousands of likes for a casual short video. If Leo or another popular star was in the shot, the likes could easily exceed 1 million. Leo, I want a boxed lunch too. I'm hungry. Leo was in a meeting with several department heads discussing the script when Eleanor, having grown tired of the props and wardrobe departments, yelled from behind him. Everyone was used to Eleanor's straightforward nature and found it both amusing and cute. If you want one, go get it from the van yourself, Leo said, waving his hand without turning around. There are none left. Everyone took them, Eleanor said, slightly aggrieved. And your portion has more meat and even has sausage. That's not fair. I protest. Here. Go away. Ms. Shelton, can you keep an eye on her for me? Leo, exasperated, handed his unopened boxed lunch to Eleanor and shooed her away, continuing his meeting with the department heads. Eleanor walked away triumphantly with a boxed lunch. She suddenly noticed an actress pointing her phone at her. Eleanor pretended not to see and walked past the actress, then abruptly turned back, facing the camera with an innocent smile and flashing a cute peace sign. Against the backdrop of the fiery sunset clouds, the image of the little heiress in that moment was perfect wallpaper material. Sorry, Miss Hayes. The actress realized what she had done and apologized profusely. I'll delete it right now. Please don't tell Mr. Shepard, okay? To prevent spoilers, most film sets prohibit actors from taking unauthorized photos or videos. During meals or breaks, the team leads would turn a blind eye, and the actors would take the opportunity to shoot some short videos to gain followers for their social media accounts. But the rule against filming Leo or Eleanor was an ordinance issued by several department heads and Leo himself, especially prohibiting any videos or photos of the two of them together. Ostensibly, it was to prevent the paparazzi from sensationalizing things. In reality, Leo was worried that a video or photo of him and Eleanor being too intimate would be seen by his other girlfriends. "It's fine. Don't mind him," Eleanor said with a proud humph. "If he gives you any trouble, just mention my name. I'll take care of him for you." The actress asked weakly, "Really?" Of course it's true." Eleanor waved goodbye nonchalantly and then ran towards Clara, who was by the rock garden. "Looks like not all rich people have bad tempers," the actress said with a relieved smile. She then sent the video she had just recorded to a friend. "Look, the daughter of Portland's richest man and our director. I think they're definitely dating." "For real? The one who directed that crime thriller, Leo Shepherd? He's dating the daughter of Portland's richest man?" "Definitely. I see them being all lovey-dovey on set every day. She just said she'd handle Leo for me. Doesn't that sound like something a girlfriend would say? By the way, don't send this video to anyone else, or I'll get my pay docked." Eleanor, mimicking Leo's way of interacting with ordinary people, asked politely, "Ms. Shelton, are you eating?" Clara, holding her lunchbox, paused. "Can't she see I'm eating?" she thought. "Yes, just started," Clara replied politely, pointing to the small stool opposite her. "Have a seat, Miss Hayes. You can just call me Eleanor from now on." "Don't call me Miss," Eleanor said as she sat down, wrinkling her brow in distaste. "When you call me that, it makes me feel like I'm a prostitute." "Clara." The corner of Clara's mouth twitched. How could this girl, with such a beautiful face and such a pleasant voice, say such vulgar things? After a bit of small talk, Clara found Eleanor's conversation skills a bit awkward, yet it felt like she was trying very hard to make conversation. "So, Eleanor, how did you and Leo meet?" Clara asked, her interest clearly piqued. "How long have you known each other?" "We met on a hook." "Ahem, we met on a social app," Eleanor said, clearing her throat and speaking as if reminiscing. "We've known each other for almost a year." "I see," Clara said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear and joking. "What do you like about him?" "I always thought he was a total homebody." "I like his." Eleanor fell into deep thought. Just then, a man in the distance with a megaphone shouted for the actors who were eating to finish up and prepare for a rehearsal. "Ms. Shelton, I'll tell you later." Eleanor's eyes lit up. She quickly shoveled down a few mouthfuls of her food and ran towards the set. "What was that all about?" Clara murmured, a bit baffled. At the same time, she wanted to see how Leo directed, so she stood up and walked towards the set. Before she even got there, she could hear Leo's insults from a distance. "Is he always like this?" Clara came up beside Eleanor, watching as Leo scolded a few actresses until their eyes were red. She felt a little bad for them. Eleanor pointed to Leo in the middle of the set, who was simultaneously yelling and instructing the actors. She murmured with a look of pure enjoyment, "Ms. Shelton, this is what I like about him. You like the way he yells at people?" Clara frowned, perplexed. What kind of preference is that? Clara was a relatively simple person, with the righteous disposition of a teacher. In this age of rampant internet access, at 30-something years old, she had never even watched an adult film, let alone read more than a few pages of erotic web fiction. Her straight-laced nature meant she couldn't possibly guess at Eleanor's special tastes. She simply assumed Eleanor was attracted to Leo's decisive, aggressive, and even tyrannical work style. It was just a rehearsal. Around 9 o'clock, Eleanor was picked up by her bodyguards, and Leo drove Clara back to the Evergreen Terrace apartments. "Ms. Shelton, my situation with Eleanor. It's actually very complicated," Leo explained vaguely as he pulled up to the apartment complex entrance, then asked tentatively, "I hope you won't overthink it." "You don't have to explain it to me," Clara said indifferently as she unbuckled her seatbelt. "You're my boss. I have neither the right nor the interest to pry into your personal affairs." "That's good." Leo was visibly relieved. He smiled and said, "I'll come pick you up tomorrow morning. The office is pretty far from here." "No need." Seeing Leo's relieved expression, Clara felt an inexplicable surge of anger. "I'll take a cab to the office myself. Don't trouble yourself." "Oh," Leo responded, taken aback. He watched Clara's elegant back as she got out of the car, her heels clicking as her full, stocking-clad legs carried her into the dimly lit hallway of the building. Ding! Clara Shelton's affinity has decreased by 5 points. Current affinity, 13. Please continue your efforts. Huh? What did I do? Leo was baffled. He hadn't done anything, so why had Clara's affinity suddenly dropped? Leo knew that Clara had a decent amount of affinity for him, but today the little heiress had muddied the waters, letting Clara in on his messy life. Leo had no choice but to treat her as just a friend from now on. The strange thing was Clara's affinity hadn't dropped on set, nor had it dropped when she found out he was a player. It dropped a full 5 points right when he offered to drive her to work. Could it be that she thought he was giving up and just going for it? That he was using the ride as a pretext to add her to his collection? And that's why she got angry? To the host. It is precisely because the host's attitude towards her was too casual that she felt disappointed and angry. My attitude was too casual. Leo was surprised. I never even made a move on her, did I? The host's previous attitude and conversations were overly ambiguous, leading her to mistakenly believe you had considerable feelings for her. The host's behavior just now clearly showed a lack of concern for her feelings, which is why she felt disappointed and angry. So that's how it is. Leo shook his head with a wry smile. Wasn't this just a case of being love-struck? Clara had never been in a relationship. She finally developed feelings for a guy and had some interactions with him, only to find out he wasn't interested in her and didn't care about her feelings. It was impossible for her not to feel disappointed and upset. Most people in their first relationship experience this kind of insecurity. Solution: older, single women often feel lonely. Seize this opportunity to move in. Over time, you will surely win her over. Damn, and you say you're not a player system, Leo scoffed. Aren't you just pushing me to be a player? To the host, this system only provides suggestions and solutions. Whether to implement them is entirely up to the host. Fair enough, Leo muttered to himself. He stared at the floor of his old apartment for a while, then drove out of the underground garage. One Saturday morning, Leo finally had some free time and decided to go to the dealership to buy a car and get his BMW serviced. When the sisters, who were on break, found out, they insisted on coming along, bombarding him with texts filled with cute and demanding emojis. Leo couldn't refuse, so he drove back to the apartment complex to pick them up. He rang the doorbell of the familiar apartment, but it was the next-door neighbor who opened her door first. A middle-aged woman holding a phone greeted him with a wide smile. Well, look who it is. Little Leo's back. Not busy today. Leo could tell at a glance that the woman was recording him. He smiled and said, "Still busy. I have to leave in a minute." Riley often complained about this neighbor, who was constantly recording videos of their family to ride on Leo's coattails. Her short video account, filled with clips of Leo's family, had hundreds of thousands of followers, earning her over $100 a day. When other neighbors found out, they all started doing the same thing, dropping by Leo's apartment to visit and record videos, much to the annoyance of Riley and Sophie. Their parents felt that since they were neighbors and some had even helped their family in the past, they couldn't say much and just turn a blind eye. "Old man, you're back. I missed you so much." Just then, the door opened, and Riley, whom he hadn't seen in a while, threw herself at him joyfully, clinging to his waist like an octopus. "Bro, you're back." Sophie stood in the doorway, a bright smile on her face, her eyes clearly filled with happiness. "Did you miss me?" Leo supported his sister's healthy, youthful body with one arm and ruffled his sweet, adorable younger sister's hair with the other. "I did," Sophie replied without hesitation. The gentle-natured sister was too shy to be as boldly affectionate as Riley, but she kept tucking strands of hair behind her ear, betraying her inner excitement. "Bro, let's go, let's go." Riley shot an annoyed glance at the neighbor at the door, then quickly pulled Leo inside and slammed the door shut. Was it hot on the way here? David Shepard was also home today, sipping tea and watching a war drama. Seeing his son after so long, he also had a smile on his face and poured Leo a cup of tea. It was all right. Leo picked up the cup and took a sip, then teased, "I mean, old man, it's not like we're broke. Can't you buy some decent tea?" "The moment you get some money, you don't know how to act," Sharon called out with a laugh from the kitchen, where she was stir-frying vegetables. She peeked out to look at her long-unseen son. But when Leo looked back at her, the duplicitous old woman suppressed her smile and pretended to be indifferent. "You sure know how to pick your moments, kid. Always showing up right at mealtime." Listening to the sounds of cooking from the kitchen, seeing his healthy parents, and with the two chattering sisters on either side of him, Leo felt for a moment that sometimes a simple life like this was pretty good. "Bro, I want to move," Riley complained angrily during lunch. "Lately, the entire neighborhood has been filming us and making videos. It's like we're the real-life version of that reality TV star who won the lottery. We have no privacy at all." That reality star was a grassroots celebrity who had become famous years ago. After he got rich, his neighbors were constantly asking him for loans or handouts, making his family's life miserable. While their neighbors weren't as extreme, their constant filming was still affecting the Shepard family's normal life. "Mom, Dad, what do you think?" Leo asked his parents. "If you want to move, I can call a friend this afternoon to look at some properties. We could buy a nice villa in a good location. At least there won't be neighbors dropping by all the time." His parents exchanged a hesitant glance. They were indeed getting tired of living under the constant scrutiny of their neighbors. Sharon reluctantly said, I'm fine with whatever, but all this furniture is a bit of a hassle. Then let's move, Leo said, sensing that his mother also wanted to move. He waved it off nonchalantly. We can hire a moving company to pack up all this miscellaneous stuff, or we could just throw it out and buy new things. Sharon insisted, don't you dare. This furniture was expensive when I bought it. You're not throwing it away. See, bro, Riley whispered. Mom is a classic case of making things harder than they need to be. Leo agreed. He really couldn't understand the older generation's desire to live frugally. And listen here, if you're buying a place, get something ordinary. Your father and I aren't suited for some fancy mansion, Sharon reminded him. I know you have money now, but it comes fast and goes fast. Don't take it for granted. Mom, don't worry about that stuff. From now on, you can just stay home and spend money, Leo said, tired of hearing these lectures on frugality. He didn't know how he had ever absorbed them before. If you're really bored, take Dad on a trip abroad. A round-the-world trip, even. You don't have to worry about the money. No way. It's so chaotic overseas. Your mother wants to live a few more years, Sharon said with a dismissive sniff, though she was quite happy inside. By the way, how's Lily been recently? Sharon glanced at Leo. Are you two getting along okay? Leo's hand, holding his chopsticks, froze. The sisters and David fell silent, watching him. The atmosphere at the table visibly cooled. She's fine. What else could she be? Leo put a chicken wing on Riley's plate, making her giggle. She's a sweet dummy all day long. What else is there to say? If she weren't a sweet dummy, would you have been able to trick her so easily? Sharon couldn't stand her son speaking ill of the girl and immediately scolded him. You could have messed with anyone, but you had to go for a girl like that. Does your conscience not bother you? Leo muttered, It's not like I'm not good to her. Sharon snorted. Of course not. If you dare to be bad to her, I'd be the first to deal with you. Ever since she had added Lily on her social media, the girl was constantly sending her well wishes and forwarding short videos about health and daily life for seniors. Chloe also chatted with Sharon frequently, but their conversations were mostly about her and Leo's daily life. And sometimes Chloe would bring up youth topics that Sharon didn't understand. The difference in their personalities was evident from their conversations. Comparing the two, Sharon genuinely preferred the kind-hearted and sincere girl. If Lily and Leo were to get married, their daily life would surely be happy and stable, and the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationship would be excellent. Unfortunately, Sharon couldn't make that decision. The outcome ultimately depended on Leo. What are you really thinking, kid? Sharon said, growing more helpless. In a couple of years, both of those girls will be graduating. Don't tell me you still won't have solved. Mom, it's 2:30, Sophie interrupted with a smile, seeing Leo was struggling. Didn't you have a bridge game scheduled with Mrs. Collins? Someone else might take your spot. Oh, I almost forgot. You brat. We'll talk about this tonight when you get back. David, remember to do the dishes. Sharon stood up in a daze, hurried back to her room to get ready, and then rushed out the door with her small purse. Sophie, you saved me, Leo whispered gratefully. Sophie chuckled, pouted cutely, and glanced at the Coca-Cola chicken wings in the middle of the table. Here. Leo reacted quickly and gave Sophie a chicken wing. Thanks, bro, Sophie smiled sweetly, prompting a sarcastic comment from Riley beside her. You what's with the cutesy act? Oh, shut up, Sophie said, her face flushing slightly as she pouted, but she happily started nibbling on the chicken wing. It can't be, right? Leo noticed David subtly observing him and the sisters. Combined with his current thoughts, Leo immediately realized what his old man was suspecting. Dad, I remember your Mercedes needs servicing too, right? Leo quickly tried to distract him. Want to drive over to the dealership with me later? No need. I had it serviced a few days ago, David said, shaking his head. Instead, he asked with a smile, but you with such a big company now, do you really need to handle things like car maintenance and purchases yourself? I run an entertainment company. I prefer to handle these personal items myself to avoid any unnecessary trouble, Leo explained patiently. David didn't understand at first, but then he thought about his son's various dalliances and finally got his meaning. The little brat is playing two girls at once and is still being so cautious. After lunch, Leo drove the sisters to the dealership. After handing the car over to the mechanics, Leo said to Riley, go to the supermarket next door and buy a few Red Bulls for these guys. And say a few nice words. Riley was outgoing but too naive, lacking an understanding of social nuances and common sense. David often told Leo to teach her a thing or two when he had the chance. Otherwise, her personality would surely cause her trouble when she entered the workforce. Why? We're already paying them, Riley said, not understanding why they had to pay and still be nice. Why should we buy them drinks? If we don't, will they not service the car properly? I'll file a complaint against them. Just go by them. I'll explain when you get back. Thanks for your hard work, guys. It's so hot today. Please have a drink on us. Before Leo could finish, Sophie had already returned with several bottles of drinks, politely and sweetly handing them out to each of the mechanics in the repair bay. See? This is why Sophie has always been more popular than you, Leo said, looking with satisfaction at Sophie, who was laughing and chatting with mechanics. He glanced at Riley, who was standing beside him with a look of disdain. You need to learn to be considerate of others' feelings, not just rely on being cute. This is especially true once you're out in the real world. What's the point of doing that? Riley grumbled, unconvinced. At the very least, you're showing them respect. That way, when they're working on my car, they're less likely to slack off, Leo explained seriously. In this society, there are many blue-collar workers like them. The attitude they have when they work for you often depends on how you treat them. As Leo was speaking, Sophie walked over with the remaining 3 drinks, handing a Powerade to Leo. Here you go, bro. Leo took the drink and smiled. If Sophie weren't so secretly manipulative and always maintained this sweet and sensible personality, he would really like her. Here, mascot, you get one too, Sophie said, handing another drink to Riley. I'll punch you. Show some respect. Riley, who was already feeling a bit jealous, immediately raised a fist to threaten her, then shoved her purse at Leo. Hold this for me. I'm going to the restroom. Sophie's eyes lit up. Go on, go on. After Riley left, Sophie's delicate and beautiful face broke into a cute, sweet smile. She walked up and pressed herself against Leo's chest, her voice soft and coquettish. Why haven't you come back to see us lately? 1. Come back for what? So I can make a move on you, get caught by our parents, and end up in a hospital so specialized not even the best orthopedic surgeon in the country could fix me? Not recommended too. I've been wanting to come back and see you for ages. I've missed you so much my pillow has been soaked with tears. But work has been too busy. You have to understand. Strongly recommended 3. There's nothing to do if I come back. You guys won't do anything for me anyway. Why don't you try to convince your sister later, and the 3 of us can go to a hotel and play a few hand of cards. Recommended option 2 recommendation. For girls with strong possessive tendencies, no matter how cheesy the sweet talk, it will always be effective. Ugh, don't even mention it. I've been wanting to come back and see you for ages. I've missed you so much my pillow has been soaked with tears, Leo said, stroking Sophie's dark, soft hair. But work has been too busy. You have to understand. TSK, soaked with tears, my ass. Bro, don't you laugh when you say stuff like that. Sophie pouted, giving him a cute eye roll. Do you think I believe that? Even someone as dense as my sister wouldn't believe it. Next time you lie, think it through first, okay? Leo was taken aback, realizing that the system's recommended line hadn't been very effective this time. But even though I know you're lying, I just love hearing you say it, Sophie said, tilting her pretty face up. She poked Leo's chest with her slender finger, saying petulantly, remember to say it more often in the future. Even if you're lying to me, I love to hear it. Don't be ridiculous. I'm such an honest person. How could I lie? Leo said with a smile, not admitting to anything. His feelings for the sisters hadn't reached the level of Chloe or Lily yet. Subconsciously, he still saw them as his younger sisters. But he always remembered that they weren't related by blood. Wait, if that's the case, then the recommendation for option 3. I could have said that. Leo looked at Sophie in his arms in disbelief. Does that mean she wouldn't mind the 3 of us playing cards together? Or does she already have that in mind? Bro, what's wrong? Sophie asked, seeing Leo's surprised expression, her own expression turning mischievous. I bet you're thinking about something bad right now, aren't you? Don't be ridiculous, Leo said, guiltily touching his nose. I was just wondering why your sister isn't back yet. Did she fall into the toilet? Fucking boomer. Riley returned from the restroom and saw the 2 of them clinging together like glue. A wave of jealousy washed over her. She marched over, forcibly pulled them apart, and shielded Sophie behind her, warning him fiercely. You creep, stay away from my sister. Hey, let's get this straight, Leo said with a laugh. Sophie is my sister too. And so are you. So what? We're not blood related, Riley retorted stubbornly. Sophie and I are related by blood, but you're not. You're just an outsider who's lived in our house for over a decade. Exactly. It's because we're not related by blood that I dare to hug your sister, Leo said shamelessly. If we were, I wouldn't dare. You. Riley's clumsy tongue was no match for Leo's. She was momentarily speechless. Oh, come on, bro. What my sister means is, why did you only hug me and not her? Sophie chimed in with a teasing smile. If you hug her now and say a few nice things to her, once you've placated the older sister, you can take home a pair of sisters. Isn't that a win-win? Holy shit. Sophie. Both Leo and Riley lunged forward to cover her mouth, their faces flushing as they glanced around nervously. Thankfully, no one was paying attention. Are you trying to get us killed? Riley released Sophie's mouth, her heart still pounding. There's so many people around. Someone's going to think you're a pervert. Sophie, can you please think before you speak next time? Leo said with a troubled smile. My heart isn't strong enough for this kind of thing. It's fine, Sophie said with an unconcerned smile. If you don't say anything, and I don't say anything, who's going to know? As long as the three of us are happy together, that's all that matters. That line again, Leo thought with a wry smile. How many more times am I going to have to hear that? Leo, hug my sister, Sophie said, nodding her chin towards him. There was no trace of jealousy in her eyes, only pure expectation and encouragement. The three of us are definitely going to live together in the future. You can't just think about me. My sister likes you too. Leo, get lost. Who wants to hug me? Sophie, don't say things like that anymore, Riley said dismissively, though her gaze kept drifting towards Leo. I don't dare. Your sister is so fierce, like a tigress. I'm afraid she'll bite me, Leo said, feigning difficulty. With that temper, I'm afraid no man will ever dare to hug her. What? Riley was furious. She threw herself onto Leo's back and expertly applied a chokehold. Old man, who are you calling a tigress? I was wrong. Leo pleaded with a laugh. After a while, Riley finally released him, looking triumphant. I'm gonna make you hug me. Riley wrapped her arms around Leo's neck and whimpered. You've been bullying me my whole life. You've always listened to her and not me. Why didn't you listen this time? Am I that annoying to you? Of course not, Leo said, supporting Riley's perky bottom as he walked. You're both my good sisters. There's no first or second. I'll believe you this time, Riley said, resting her head gently on Leo's back, a happy and satisfied smile on her lips. Hey, big bro, big sis, wait for me, Sophie called out, juggling both their drinks as she hurried to catch up. Leo had been planning to buy a car for a while now. After a few days of weighing looks against performance, he finally settled on an Audi RS7. The three of them arrived at the dealership, and Leo didn't waste any time browsing. He paid in full for a black RS7 on the spot, and the saleswoman couldn't stop grinning. When it was time to sign the contract, the sales manager recognized Leo and threw in a bunch of perks and discounts, even enthusiastically asking for a photo together. The picture was for his private collection, of course, not for the dealership's marketing materials. A man in his position knew better than to pull a stunt like that. Why an Audi? Riley circled the gleaming new black car, a hint of disdain on her face. I thought you were going to get a Bugatti Veyron or a Lamborghini. Those are nice cars. Whoa, a car that costs almost $300,000 isn't good enough for you now. Leo shot her a surprised look. Was that contract I just signed just a piece of scrap paper? Leo had considered ordering a sports car from overseas, but he figured that driving around in something too flashy was just asking for trouble, whether he was out for a joyride or taking a girl out. So he'd settled on an Audi, a solid car with great performance at a more reasonable price. Sophie chimed in with her own critique. Riley, you can get some Lamborghini models for just over $100,000 these days. His car is really expensive. Riley was a total novice when it came to cars, barely able to recognize a few logos. All she knew were the names that sounded cool and looked flashy, like Lamborghini or Bugatti or sedans with beautiful interiors. In her mind, those were the only true luxury cars. I know it's expensive, it just doesn't have any class, Riley said, tapping her chin. And it kind of looks like Dad's old Volkswagen. Apologize. Apologize to every Audi owner on the planet. Leo said, feigning seriousness. My dear sister, do you have any idea how amazing this car is? Do you know the pedigree of the most beautiful sports sedan ever made? Do you know how many Volkswagens you could buy for the price of this one? Yeah, Riley, this car is famous, Sophie added with a playful, teasing smile. If Leo parked this thing in front of our school and put a sign in the window that said free tutoring, he'd have half the student body lined up. Ahem, where did you learn to talk like that? Leo glanced at Sophie, surprised. He hadn't seen her in a little while, and it seemed she'd gotten a lot more slyly provocative. She could drop a suggestive joke like that without batting an eye. Huh, what does that mean? Riley blinked, completely lost. Let's go. Time to find a place to eat, Leo said, patting Sophie's head as he walked to the driver's side. Sophie didn't get mad. She just stuck her tongue out playfully and hopped in the passenger seat, thrilled. Sophie, what did you mean? Riley, ever the curious one, slid into the back seat and craned her neck forward. Why would putting a sign like that attract high school girls? Tell me. Sophie put her hand on Leo's thigh and said with a grin, because they're thirsty for knowledge, obviously. What else could it be? Right, Leo? Don't talk nonsense, and don't touch me there, Leo said, unable to hold back a smile. He gently tapped her hand. Buckle up. I'm about to drive. Oomph. If you won't tell me, I'll ask my roommates, Riley said defiantly, pulling out her phone and furiously typing in her group chat. A few minutes later, her face turned a visible shade of crimson. She glared at the two in the front, who were smiling but saying nothing, and cursed them, both embarrassed and angry. You two are such perverts. It was a weekend, and the sisters had the afternoon off. Leo drove them to Portland's most luxurious waterfront restaurant, the Vista. From the moment they walked in until they were seated in their private room, Leo noticed the staff giving him slightly surprised looks. He figured they must have recognized him as a director, or perhaps they'd seen him here before with Eleanor. A few extra glances were normal, so he didn't think much of it. As a foodie, Riley had always wanted to come to the Vista to check in and take pictures. But with an empty wallet, and even knowing Eleanor was the restaurant's owner, she was too shy to ask her for a free meal. The wish had remained buried in her heart. Today, Leo had made her wish come true, even booking the VIP room with the best view of the river. The girl was ecstatic, snapping at least 20 photos before she even sat down. Sophie was quieter, sitting next to Leo and scrolling through TikTok. Every so often, she'd turn and grin at him or sneak a hand on his leg. After Leo caught her hand and placed it back in her lap, she let out a soft and whined in a low, coquettish voice. It's not like you'll lose a chunk of flesh if I touch you. If you don't like it, you can touch me back. For a moment, Leo was speechless. She managed to be both greasy and adorable at the same time. About 5 or 6 minutes later, several waiters knocked and entered. The food was starting to arrive. Riley insisted on taking a few pictures before they ate, so the other two had no choice but to wait. TSK. He's actually involved with the daughter of the richest man in the city. Damn, if I could land a rich girl like that, I'd be happy to drive a luxury car and live in a mansion. As the waiters were leaving, Leo unintentionally heard the innermost thoughts of the last male waiter. A guy like you who's afraid to risk anything could never land a rich girl, Leo thought back smugly, not really bothered. He'd been to this restaurant with Eleanor twice before. It was normal for there to be some gossip about them. Just then, Sophie tugged on his arm. Leo, you have to see this. What is it? Leo turned his head nonchalantly. Sophie was holding up her phone, playing a short TikTok video. The video initially just showed the set of his film, with Eleanor's adorable voice shouting in the background that she wanted a boxed lunch. So far, so normal. But in the last 10 seconds, Eleanor suddenly burst into the frame, talking to the person filming. First, the camera operator tried to delete the video, but Eleanor stopped them, saying triumphantly, "It's fine, don't worry about him. If he gives you any trouble, just use my name. I'll handle him." The video itself didn't seem like much, but the creator had slapped a clickbait title on it. Daughter of Portland's richest man, Eleanor Hayes, in a rumored romance with today's hottest director? 52-second uncensored video exposed. Not only that, but the creator had also pinned a comment. Watch it fast, might be gone in a few days. Popcorn emoji, popcorn emoji, popcorn emoji. In the video, Eleanor's tone with the person filming was already intimate, almost like a girlfriend's. Paired with such a provocative title, the immediate conclusion for anyone who watched it was clear. The daughter of Portland's richest man was dating the director, Leo Shepard. Genius director? Or a kept man? Ingenuity Media head exposed by actress in secret romance with Hayes Group heiress. Is Ingenuity Media using the heiress for clout? 52-second uncensored set video reveals the real power behind the studio. Famed director Leo Shepard and heiress Eleanor Hayes' romance revealed. Fans call her chasing after her boyfriend for food too sweet and adorable. Turns out heiresses aren't so aloof. This is what a real billionaire's daughter is like. So down to earth. Stop believing web novels. This is the real daughter of a billionaire. In just 3 days, a simple 50-second video clip had exploded across every media forum. The news of Leo and Eleanor's rumored romance spread like wildfire, dominating the trending charts on every short-form video platform with an endless variety of bizarre headlines. Celebrity secret romances being exposed by paparazzi was nothing new on the internet. Netizens were mostly tired of that kind of drama. But this was different. Before this, Harrison Hayes had protected Eleanor's private life with extreme care. Aside from a single newspaper feature about her SAT scores, the media had found it nearly impossible to publish anything about Eleanor, let alone expose her personal life. It was no exaggeration to say that almost 90% of Portland's residents didn't even know Harrison Hayes had a daughter. The public was naturally curious about a figure like a billionaire's heiress. But the main reason for the explosion was simple. Eleanor was stunningly beautiful. In those 50-odd seconds of video, every frame of Eleanor bursting into the shot, set against the backdrop of a fiery sunset, was beautiful enough to be a desktop wallpaper. Beauty and charisma have a massive impact on the platforms young people use, especially when it came to Eleanor, a woman the system itself had nearly given a perfect score. In a matter of days, dozens of stills from the video had been screenshotted and shared, racking up millions of reposts on TikTok alone. Leo was handsome enough, but in terms of sheer looks, he couldn't compare to Eleanor. That, combined with his seemingly indifferent attitude toward her in the video and the way she chased after him demanding food, led to the vast majority of netizens dubbing him the other guy who had stolen their goddess. In the Ingenuity Media conference room, the department heads were grimly discussing how to handle the sudden surge of attention and the associated fallout. As for the person who had secretly posted the video, they'd already found her. It was one of their own actresses, a woman playing a supporting role. She had originally just sent the video to her best friend to gossip, but her friend, who loved stirring up trouble, had uploaded it directly to TikTok. Even more absurdly, when the friend saw how many likes it was getting, she started hawking her own brand of lipstick in the comments. Seeing a random account so blatantly exposing the heiress's romance, and with the topic blowing up, countless bloggers and entertainment news outlets jumped on the bandwagon. They all wrote their own headlines and posted videos about the rumored relationship, which was why the topic remained white hot. Mr. Shepard, the actress and her friend have already deleted their accounts. They're waiting on set now, Jean said, breaking the silence. Seeing that the other department heads weren't speaking and Leo looked miserable, she cautiously asked, Mr. Shepard, what's your take on this? Should we sue them? Or should we ride this wave and use it for marketing? Leo held his head in his hands, staring at his phone without a word. He was racking his brain, trying to figure out how to explain this to Chloe. When Chloe had woken up that morning, her roommates had immediately told her about Leo and Eleanor. At first, Chloe thought it was just a marketing stunt by Leo's company and didn't take it seriously, even joking that it was normal for her media mogul boyfriend to have a bit of salacious gossip. But then she watched the 50-second video. Combined with the legions of netizens discussing their romance and the girlfriend-like tone Eleanor used in the clip, Chloe's jealousy erupted. She hadn't even brushed her teeth before she came looking for Leo to demand an explanation. Elf Princess. Leo the pig, what is this? Video 053 offline mode. Babe, it's just a marketing stunt. I told you before, right? I run a media company. A little bit of suggestive news is totally normal. Laughing crying emoji. Elf Princess. Then why is Eleanor so close to you? The way she was talking to the person filming. You two do not seem like normal friends. Angry emoji offline mode. No, you actually believe it? Come on, I have you. Besides, she's met you. Why are you worried about this? After Leo sent his reply, it was a long time before Chloe responded. I'm going to class first. We'll talk after. Angry emoji. Just as Leo was about to discuss things with his department heads, a message came in from Lily. No words, just a single, sad-looking emoji. Offline mode. What's wrong? Country mouse. You lied to me again. Video 053 offline mode. Oh, come on, you believe this stuff? You know your boyfriend is in the media business. A little gossip is normal. Besides, you know Eleanor. Offline mode, how about this? I'll have her come over tonight and explain it to you in person, okay? Lily's chat bubble showed her typing for a long time. Finally, a single word appeared. Okay. It was clear she, too, thought there was something unspoken between him and Eleanor in that video. Mr. Shepard, I think this is an opportunity, Derek Flynn said cautiously, seeing Leo still hadn't said anything. Our company is in the media business. We might as well use this traffic to promote the new movie. Enough, enough, Leo said, growing impatient. He picked up his phone and stood up. Everyone get back to work. Let's put a pin in this for now. I need to think. After Leo left, the others exchanged glances, their faces all showing the same expression. I knew it. They were all convinced that the thing between Leo and Eleanor wasn't just a rumor. It was real. The reason Leo was so hesitant to make a statement was surely because he didn't just have Eleanor. He probably had other girlfriends stashed away somewhere. While the publicity had come out of nowhere, any media company would seize such a golden opportunity as long as it wasn't too controversial. If Leo's conscience was clear, he would have definitely leveraged this traffic to promote his new movie. His hesitation was a dead giveaway. His conscience was anything but clear. And so, just minutes after Leo left the conference room, the department heads had unanimously branded him with the title of Player Chairman. It wasn't just Leo who was being tormented by the sudden viral video. Eleanor's parents were so furious that they flew back from overseas overnight. Society was incredibly volatile these days. The old couple knew that once their daughter's identity was exposed, it would inevitably attract unnecessary public opinion and trouble, creating too many uncontrollable factors. That was why Harrison Hayes and Catherine Hayes had protected Eleanor so fiercely since she was a child. Her personal information had almost never been disclosed, as they never wanted their precious daughter to be thrust into the public eye. Now, thanks to the video, practically the entire city of Portland knew the couple had a breathtakingly beautiful daughter who was having a secret romance with a popular director. It shattered the protective bubble they had maintained for over 20 years. Even their old friend, Connor Sterling, had called to ask if it was true. Of course, that wasn't the most important thing. What infuriated them most was that after the story broke, neither Leo nor his company had made any public statement. It was as if the entire incident didn't exist. If the two of them really were dating, wasn't this the classic trifecta of a player's behavior? No admissão, no explanation, no acceptance. And so, the moment they landed, the couple had their security guards bring Eleanor home from the conservatory, determined to get to the bottom of it. Eleanor, what on earth are you thinking? On the sofa, Catherine wrapped an arm around her daughter's shoulder and asked gently, "Tell me, honey, do you really like Leo?" A mother always knows her daughter best. Seeing the genuine joy on Eleanor's face in the video, Catherine was certain her daughter's feelings for Leo were real. What troubled her was that Leo had a girlfriend. Her own daughter was unwilling to interfere in their lives, leaving her no way to enter into this love triangle. "No," Eleanor said, her gaze darting away as she pouted. "We're just good friends. Do you believe that yourself? I told you to spend less time with him, but you wouldn't listen. And now look, do you really think he's a good person?" Harrison, who had been standing before them, exploded when he heard Eleanor's denial. "And you," he said, turning on his wife, "you just had to push them together? Happy now? The whole city is laughing at our family. What are you yelling about?" Catherine hugged her daughter tighter and shot Harrison an annoyed look. "What's there to laugh at? It's just a misunderstanding. And besides, what if it were true? Your daughter is a person. What's so funny about her falling in love? It can't be him, a man that passive. He wants to marry into my family? Not a chance in hell." After decades in the business world, Harrison Hayes had developed an arrogant and commanding personality. He had long ago decided that if Eleanor were to marry, her husband's family didn't have to be billionaires, but he had to be a young man of exceptional quality in every respect. Now, this kid with a fledgling career was not only caught up in a scandal with his daughter, but hadn't even bothered to offer her parents an explanation. Harrison would never allow such an irresponsible man to be his son-in-law. Passive, Eleanor had been trying to figure out how to bluff her way through this, but those words lit a fuse inside her. "What did you do when you kicked that mother and son out of the house? Damn it. And now you're going to lecture me? How hypocritical can you be?" Her words struck Harrison and Catherine like a physical blow. They weren't shocked that their daughter was cursing at them. They were used to that by now. They were shocked that she knew about something that had happened years ago. "What? Cat got your tongue? You had plenty to say a minute ago." In her parents' memory, Eleanor had always been a quiet and gentle soul. Even after she became more lively and mischievous, she was never one for emotional outbursts. The cold, intimidating daughter before them now was so unfamiliar it was disorienting. Harrison was momentarily speechless, but his domineering nature took over. "This is adult business. Since when is it your place to interfere?" You're a real piece of work?" Eleanor sneered, not wanting to say another word. She stood up and headed for the stairs. "What was that?" Harrison asked, confused. As she walked away, he commanded, "Eleanor Hayes, I'm not finished speaking. Who gave you permission to leave?" Eleanor stopped in her tracks, turned back with a glacial expression, and strode back toward her father. Her aggressive posture was so alarming that Catherine stood up, afraid the two would come to blows. "You want to hear more, is that it? Fine, I'll tell you." Eleanor's eyebrows shot up, her expression terrifyingly cold as she confessed without reservation. "Damn it, I do love Leo. I love him. I can't live without him. I don't care how many girlfriends he has. I just want to be with him." "You," Harrison gasped, his eyes filled with rage and disappointment. There is no greater tragedy for a father than to watch the daughter he painstakingly raised turn on her parents for another man, especially a man he despised. "That's enough, Eleanor. Go upstairs and rest. Mrs. Davis, please bring Mr. Hayes' blood pressure medication," Catherine said, quickly stepping between them. After giving the instruction to the housekeeper, she gently pushed Eleanor toward the stairs. "I told you to talk to her nicely. What is wrong with you?" A few minutes later, Catherine took the pills and a glass of warm water from the housekeeper, handed them to Harrison, and sat beside him, frowning. You know she likes that boy. Why do you have to be so stubborn with her? Do you want things to go back to how they were before? Talk nicely? Did you hear what she said? Does she have any respect for us? Harrison took the water and pills, his chest tight with anger. She's getting more and more out of line as she gets older. I bet he taught her that. Sooner or later, I'm going to make that kid suffer. And another thing, Harrison said after swallowing the pills, his tone weary. What did you tell her about that incident? I already did what you asked. I've settled things with that mother and son, and I haven't had any contact with them. Why did you have to stir things up again? You think everyone is as shameless as you. Catherine was seething. I'm not that brazen. I would never tell my daughter about something so despicable. She snorted and stood up. I think Eleanor was right. If you can't even act properly yourself, you have no right to lecture your daughter. It was 9 o'clock at night when Leo drove back to Willow Creek Estates. The moment he pushed the door open, Maddie, who was secretly playing on her phone on the sofa, jumped in fright. She peeked over the back of the couch, saw it wasn't Isabel, and let out a soft sigh of relief. Hee, Daddy Leo, you're back, she chirped sweetly, hiding the warm phone behind her back. Isabel was worried about the girls developing nearsightedness at a young age, so she was incredibly strict about their screen time. Lily also tried to manage their entertainment, but her methods lacked any real authority. Only Leo was lenient, sometimes even playing video games with them when he was free. However, the two girls cared most about Leo's feelings and were very obedient to him. Sometimes Maddie would ignore Isabel completely, but a little coaxing from Leo was all it took to make her behave. Leo walked over, picked Maddie up, and squeezed her soft cheek. Were you secretly playing on your phone again? Just for a little bit. Maddie sheepishly handed the phone to Leo, her bright eyes blinking, trying to charm her way out of trouble. Can you not tell Mommy, please? Silly girl. Leo chuckled, then glanced toward the stairs. Tell me, are your mom and Annie Lily home? Mommy went to Ms. Lee's house. Annie Lily is upstairs, Maddie reported, then added in a whisper, Daddy, Annie Lily seemed kind of emo when she got back today. And she's still studying this late. I bet her teacher called on her, and she didn't know the answer. Is that so? Leo wasn't surprised by Maddie's internet slang. With the internet so pervasive and kids getting phones so early, it was perfectly normal for them to drop a few memes in a conversation. Well then, I'll go give her some guidance. Leo put the little girl down, returned her phone, and patted her head. Go to bed now. No more phone, okay. I know, the little girl said, beaming as she took her phone and scampered upstairs. After washing up downstairs, Leo first went to his own room. Seeing that Lily wasn't there, he walked over to her door and knocked. Usually when someone knocked like that, the person inside would say come in. But Lily said nothing, instead pattering over to open the door herself. You're back. Lily looked at him, her voice flat, a stark contrast to her usual warm and joyful tone. A flicker of resentment and jealousy crossed her face. But thinking about how late he was, she still asked out of habit, Have you eaten? I have. Leo knew he couldn't show any nervousness or guilt in this situation. Instead, he stroked her smooth, fair cheek and coaxed her openly. Don't be mad. I told you, it's for the new movie's promotion. Your boyfriend runs a media company. A little gossip is perfectly normal. I'm not mad, Lily said, leaning against the doorframe, her cherry lips pouting with a hint of grievance. She clearly didn't buy his explanation. You've practically got I'm mad written on your face, Leo thought. But he knew exactly how to handle a girl in this state, especially a sweet, simple one like Lily. Don't be angry. You're getting dark circles, Leo said, his fingers lightly brushing the skin under her sparkling eyes. In reality, her eyes were bright and lively, without a hint of a dark circle. That was the trick. A guy had to learn to create a problem just so he could solve it. Even if the problem didn't exist, the girl would feel cared for. It was a classic case of creating trouble just to fix it. With that foundation laid, Leo sincerely addressed the issue she really wanted to resolve. I'll talk to Eleanor in a few days and have her explain it to you personally. There's really nothing going on between us. Lily looked at him doubtfully, as if she wanted to say something but couldn't. Leo knew instantly that his coaxing was working. He smoothly pulled her into his arms, holding her warm body and trying to change the subject. You feel like you've lost weight. Is the food at the school cafeteria that bad? You're still studying this late? Was Maddie right? Did your teacher call on you and you didn't know the answer? Let's go out next Saturday. I just realized it's been a while since we've gone out. Lily quietly rested in his arms, listening to him chatter on without responding. The innocent girl knew her boyfriend was placating her, but since he rarely did so, She buried her face in his chest, pretending to still be upset just to hear him talk more. Most introverted girls were drawn to talkative men, especially men they already liked. Leo sensed something was off and subtly looked down. Lily was pressed against his side, a sweet, serene smile on her lips, her gentle face full of contentment. Her hands had unconsciously wrapped around his waist. Noticing that Leo's stream of chatter had stopped, Lily looked up curiously, her eyes meeting his. "Oomph, I'll bump you." Flustered and embarrassed, she tried to feign anger, but couldn't manage her expression. She could only press her forehead against his chest and squeeze his waist with all her might. Don't be fooled by Lily's gentle demeanor and sweet voice. She was a genuine country girl, and she was significantly stronger than any of his other girlfriends. That tight squeeze knocked the wind right out of him. For such a delicate girl, she had a grip like a vice. "Whoa, easy there. Don't you know your own strength? Are you trying to murder your husband?" Leo teased with a laugh. "If you break my back, who's going to give you a lifetime of happiness? Or do you want to put me permanently out of commission?" Lily blushed, loosened her grip, and smoothed out the wrinkles on his shirt. Then she just stood there, looking at her roguish boyfriend. "You're so silly." Her expression made Leo laugh. He pinched her cheek, then glanced at the desk behind her where an English textbook lay open. An idea struck him. "Babe, your grades are so good, and I might have to go abroad for business in the future. Could you teach me some English when you have time?" "MHM." Lily agreed without hesitation. "No time like the present. Why don't you teach me right now?" Leo put his arm around her shoulder, coaxing her step by step toward the bed. As he began to undress her, he asked with the diligence of a keen student, "First, teach me how to say 'oh my God' in English." The next morning, sunlight streamed through the gaps in the curtains, casting pools of light on the brown oak floor. When Leo woke up, Lily was still curled on her side, fast asleep, hugging most of his body. Her light, steady breaths tickled his neck. Her sleeping position never seemed to change. She always slept on her side next to him. Leo was a restless sleeper, constantly tossing and turning as if he were practicing martial arts in his sleep. Besides Eleanor, who slept just as wildly, both Chloe and Isabel had complained about it countless times. Lily had never mentioned it. When he thrashed around at night, she would silently move her hands to her chest, trying to give her boyfriend as much space as possible. Lily's bed was pushed against the wall, and now she was squished against it by Leo, her hands clasped in front of her chest in the perfect posture of a long-suffering victim. Hopelessly sweet, Leo thought, gazing at her. He carefully reached out and brushed a stray lock of hair from her forehead, revealing a delicate and innocent face. A wave of warmth and tranquility washed over him. Being with a girl so gentle and tolerant was truly calming. Considering her sleeping position must be uncomfortable, Leo slipped an arm around her slender waist, feeling her smooth, tender skin, and gently pulled her into his embrace. Instantly, a vast softness pressed against his chest, followed by a faint, fresh fragrance. Lily never wore makeup or perfume, but there was always a light, milky scent about her, tinged with a subtle sweetness. Leo had once looked it up out of curiosity and found a theory that the scent was a genetic marker of attraction. The stronger the scent, the more the woman cared for you. He didn't know if it was true, but he had smelled that same indescribable fragrance on all his girlfriends. Isabel and Chloe had a similar scent, but it was always mixed with a hint of cosmetics or perfume. Only Lily and Eleanor had a scent that was completely pure, so refreshing it was almost intoxicating. The two of them were exactly as the rumors described girls, fragrant and soft. Of course, with a goddess-tier girlfriend like Lily in his bed, Leo had little desire to go to work. He'd rather drown in this gentle bliss. Perhaps his movement was too large, because Lily murmured in her sleep and snuggled deeper into his embrace. Her smooth, pale thigh draped over his leg, and her hands instinctively moved to her chest in a classic girlish defensive posture. Leo froze, not wanting to disturb her sleep. He began to gently stroke her porcelain back, as if soothing a child. Lily's skin was flawless, perfect from head to toe without so much as a single blemish, like a piece of polished jade. Just then, the ringtone for a video call blared from the phone on his pillow. Startled, Leo grabbed it. It was a video call from Chloe. With a goddess in his arms, there was no way he could answer a call from that other firebrand. He hung up without a second thought. "Elf Princess. Leo the pig, what are you doing? Why didn't you answer my video call? Are you holding some other girl and scared to pick up? Angry emoji. Offline mode. Don't be ridiculous. Babe, laughing crying emoji. I'm in a meeting. I'll talk to you when it's over. Won't be long." Video 006. After sending the message, Leo selected a short clip from his stash of pre-recorded meeting videos and sent it to her. Ever since he'd started down the irrevocable path of a player, he kept his phone stocked with photos and videos to handle surprise check-ins. Whenever a girlfriend called unexpectedly while he was with someone else, he could use his prepared materials to bluff his way through. His girlfriends were all fairly reasonable. Once they knew he was busy, they usually wouldn't press the issue and would wait for him to finish his work. Elf Princess, well, you handle your business first. We'll talk when you're done. Chloe could be willful and proud, but she knew how to prioritize. She wouldn't pester him when he was working or handling important matters. Man, that scared the hell out of me, Leo muttered, wiping a bead of cold sweat from his forehead. He glanced at Lily, still sleeping soundly beside him, and breathed a sigh of relief. If Chloe had caught a glimpse of him holding a scantily clad Lily, she would have scaled the campus walls and come straight for his throat. Perhaps the sudden ringtone had been too jarring, because Lily frowned and began to stir. Panicked, Leo quickly deleted his chat history with Chloe. When he turned back, Lily was looking at him with a drowsy, innocent expression, her clear, tired eyes full of sweetness. "Babe, are you hungry?" Leo calmly put his phone down, leaned in to kiss her pink lips, and whispered in her ear, "Want me to go make you breakfast?" Lily blushed, moistened her warm lips, and mumbled softly, "Aren't you grossed out?" "I haven't brushed my teeth yet." Leo paused for a second, then understood what she meant. "You're not grossed out by me, so why would I be grossed out by you?" he said, completely unfazed. "We're a couple. We don't need to be so formal." Lily glanced at him shyly, but her face lit up with happiness. She loved hearing him say such down-to-earth, sweet things. Wifey. Leo knew exactly how to handle her. He snuggled up to her, nuzzling her playfully. Stop moving around," Lily said, seeming to realize he was teasing her. She cupped his head in her hands and looked down at him. The way she pouted, pretending to be angry, held no menace at all. It was more like a young wife feigning annoyance. So silly. Leo couldn't help but laugh. He had a tight schedule today. There was another girlfriend to placate. He gave her a loud mwah on the lips and said with satisfaction, "All right, I'm done teasing. I'm going downstairs to make you breakfast. I want to go too." As Leo got dressed, Lily shyly wiped a bit of drool from her mouth and buttoned up her loose pajamas, which immediately became quite billowy. She asked tentatively, "Will you carry me out of bed?" This was the first time Lily had ever broken through her psychological barrier to be so openly affectionate with Leo. Usually, she was the passive one in their relationship, always being bullied by him and never asking for anything herself. It was no exaggeration to say that even their positions in bed were orchestrated by Leo from start to finish. "Of course, time to carry my wife out of bed." Leo scooped up Lily by the backs of her knees, lifting her into a princess carry. He even gave her a playful bounce, which made her cling tightly to his neck in fright. Lily had the kind of figure that was naturally made for domestic bliss. She didn't look overweight or underweight, but she felt incredibly full and soft in his arms. Especially after he bounced her, her assets swayed gently, making Leo's eyes go wide. "You're terrible," she said, looking at him with a mix of grievance and complaint after realizing he was just trying to scare her. Leo was exceptionally attentive that day. After carrying Lily downstairs, he not only made breakfast by hand, but also chatted with her about their future plans. After the meal, he even volunteered to wash the dishes. Lily was a total softie. She loved hearing Leo talk about the future. Even the most trivial things between them, she could listen to with rapt attention. "It's getting colder lately," Leo said, pinching the fabric of her clothes with a serious tone. "Don't try to be tough and go to class or the market in thin clothes. We have money now, so don't go looking for hardship where there isn't any, okay?" His tone was a bit paternalistic, but that was exactly what a softer-natured girl like Lily liked in a man. I know," Lily nodded obediently, then pinched his clothes in return. "You need to wear more layers, too." "I know," Leo replied. He checked the time. It was already 11 a.m. It was time to head to Timeless Impressions to placate another firebrand. "All right, that's that for now. I have some things to take care of at the office. You be good here by yourself." Leo patted his knees and stood up, heading to the door to change his shoes. "If you get bored, you can go for a walk. The grounds here are really nice." "I don't want to go out alone," Lily said, shaking her head gently while glancing at him tentatively. Leo knew immediately what she was thinking. "If I come back tonight, we can go for a walk together after dinner." Only then did Lily agree happily, walking over to help him straighten his clothes. Leo's clothes were regularly sent to the dry cleaner and were almost always wrinkle-free, but he never refused these small gestures from Lily or Isabel. As she adjusted his collar, Lily's movements paused. "The scarf I knitted for you," she asked casually. "I don't think I've ever seen you wear it. Did it get lost when we moved?" "Scarf." Leo tilted his head in confusion. "Yeah, the one I made for you last Valentine's Day." Lily nodded shyly. "You gave me a box of snacks in return." "Oh, the scarf." For a split second, Leo's brain short-circuited. That scarf had been mistakenly taken by Chloe as her Valentine's gift, and for a moment, he couldn't think of a good excuse. He couldn't possibly tell Lily that it was currently wrapped around another one of his girlfriend's necks. "One, it was right when we were moving so many things. I accidentally lost it. I didn't say anything because I was afraid you'd be mad. Recommended 2, don't even mention it, babe. The last time I wore it back to my parents' house, my mom said it was so well made that she stole it from me. I've been trying to get it back for ages, and she won't give it up. Strongly recommended 3. You have the nerve to bring that up? What century is this? Who gives their boyfriend a scarf for Valentine's Day? Next time, remember to give me 10 gold bars. It'll be a sign of your golden heart, and then I won't get involved with other women." Option 2 analysis. A woman places great importance on her boyfriend's family's opinion of her. Giving the scarf to his mother will also make the mother happy about her son's girlfriend. "Don't even mention it, babe. The last time I wore it back to my parents' house, my mom said it was so well made that she stole it from me," Leo said, barely having a choice. The words "strongly recommended" were all he needed to see. He rushed on. "I've been trying to get it back for ages, and she won't give it up. How about next time you come to my house? You can ask for it back for me. Your mom took it." Lily was both surprised and delighted. She shook her head happily. "Then you don't have to. I'll just knit you a new one. I still have a lot of yarn left over from the last one." "Well, thank you in advance then," Leo said, breathing a sigh of relief. He then asked casually, "I didn't get to wear that one much. Did you knit any special designs into it?" Leo was already planning to have someone else knit a replacement or buy one online. His biggest fear was that Lily had woven a heart or some other meaningful pattern into it. If the one he produced didn't match, he'd be completely screwed. Lily blinked. "No, it was just a plain purple scarf." "That won't do. Given our relationship, just a plain scarf isn't enough," Leo said, now feeling confident. He gave her specific instructions. "Next time you knit me one, make sure to add a design. A heart or a star or something." "Mitchum, I will," Lily said, committing his request to memory. Leo opened his arms. "All right then, I'm off to work. Come here, wifey, give me a hug." Lily pressed against him like a little bird. But Leo's hands weren't so innocent. He gave her round, perky bottom a playful pat, which made her blush. "I'm off," Leo said, grabbing his keys and phone and bolting out the door. Lily instinctively rubbed her backside and muttered with a soft, affectionate laugh, "Jerk." "Host, remember not to forget about the scarf." The system's voice echoed in Leo's mind as he drove toward Timeless Impressions. "Right. Lily has Mom's contact info. If they chat and Lily asks about how warm the scarf is, I'm screwed if Mom doesn't cover for me." While waiting at a red light, Leo pulled out his phone and browsed Amazon for a minute before closing the app, uneasy. He tossed the phone aside. He was worried the store-bought scarf wouldn't match the size or length of the one Lily had made. "Looks like I'll have to find an auntie or someone to knit one for me," Leo thought to himself. "And I have to get it to Mom ahead of time, just in case Lily asks her about it and she doesn't play along." Just as Leo got into his car to head back to Timeless Impressions, Derek Flynn sent him a video. Leo pulled over and opened it. It was an interview with Harrison and Catherine Hayes. As 2 of the top figures in Portland's business world, the couple was mobbed by reporters the moment they returned from their trip. At first, the questions were standard, mostly about the Hayes Group's future development and partnerships, and their answers were equally professional. Then, a reporter from an entertainment outlet pushed a microphone toward them. "A question for you both. Is Miss Hayes currently dating director Shepard from Ingenuity Media? Many of our viewers online are very curious about this. Could you share any details?" The reporter's question was dancing on the edge of a cliff. No one had ever dared to ask these 2 about Eleanor. The moment the topic was raised, the other reporters fell silent. They stopped shoving their microphones forward and instead looked at the entertainment reporter with a mixture of awe and pity. The professional smile on Harrison Hayes' face vanished, replaced by a calm, blank expression. His gaze settled on the reporter with a cold, intimidating scrutiny. He had no idea how to handle the situation with Eleanor, and now someone had the gall to shove it in his face. The frustration that had been building for days finally boiled over. "What do you think?" Harrison suddenly forced a smile, turning the question back on the reporter. The sheer force of his presence was overwhelming. The reporter gave a weak laugh, his hand holding the microphone trembling. The other journalists seemed to get the message. Harrison Hayes did not want to discuss this topic. Or perhaps The rumors were true. Judging by his reaction, it seemed the all-powerful patriarch of Portland was not at all pleased with the idea of a media director as his son-in-law. Ultimately, Harrison knew that showing too much emotion in public could have negative consequences. He quickly composed himself, gave the reporter one last flat look, and left under the protection of his bodyguards. The video wasn't over. What came next was Catherine's statement, which was what really caught Leo off guard. After Harrison left, Catherine didn't follow. Instead, she cleared her throat, drawing the attention of the reporters. I think it's perfectly normal for young people to date these days. There's no need to make such a fuss about it. As long as it's what my daughter wants, we as parents won't interfere. Her seemingly clear-cut answer stunned the reporters. The same journalist who had asked the first question, emboldened, went in for the kill. So, is a relationship between Director Shepard and Miss Hayes real? Mrs. Hayes, how do you feel about your daughter dating? Catherine smiled gracefully and offered a witty deflection. I'm not entirely sure about that. I'll ask her when I get home tonight and give you an answer in a few days. Her response was clever. She didn't directly confirm their relationship, but she was indirectly playing matchmaker. Typically, prominent parents would do everything they could to cover up their children's relationships, unless they were in the entertainment industry and needed the publicity. Catherine showed no such intention. She was acting like any normal mother, and in fact, seemed to be fanning the flames. And so, the questions the reporters had prepared about finance and Portland's development instantly morphed into questions about Eleanor and Leo. It was a no-brainer. The two were a massive trending topic online. Even if it wasn't their usual beat, no one in the media would pass up such a huge story. Derek Flynn, director, the public reaction is probably going to get even bigger now. What should we do? The interview had happened half an hour ago. With the story already so hot, Catherine's comments were like gasoline on a fire. If Leo didn't respond directly, the topic would undoubtedly be hyped to even greater heights. Leo didn't reply to Derek. Instead, he found Eleanor's contact and sent her the video. Normally, if her parents hadn't found out about them, Catherine wouldn't have fanned the flames like that. Leo guessed the heiress had let something slip. My investor. I'm so sorry, Leo. Gsadi moki. I knew it. Leo sighed, though he wasn't surprised. With Eleanor's straightforward personality, it was hard for her to keep secrets, especially from her parents. Just as Leo was about to comfort her, her next message nearly gave him a heart attack. My investor. I couldn't hold it in a few days ago. I told my parents about us. Offline mode, what? For real. My investor. MHM. Are you mad? Leo's hands were trembling as he typed. Offline mode, I'm not mad. I'm just wondering, what was their reaction? He'd been wondering why her parents had reacted so strongly. Now he knew. They were already aware of what was going on between him and their daughter. My investor. My mom didn't really react, but he's really angry. He said if you come looking for me again, he'll have you caught and thrown in the ocean. Offline mode. So much for keeping a secret. The one thing Leo had feared most about getting involved with Eleanor had finally happened. My investor. Are you at home right now? I can come find you. I have something really important to give you. Offline mode. No, don't. Are you at your house? I'll drive over. My investor. Okay, but hurry. My parents will probably be back soon. If the old man sees you, he'll definitely have security handle you. Offline mode. Driving up to Eleanor's mansion, Leo waited by the fountain out front for a few minutes. Soon, Eleanor came running down, clutching a wooden box and looking around furtively. She thrust the box into his hands with a grave expression. Leo, you have to keep this safe. What is this? Leo took the box and curiously opened it. He froze. Resting inside was a pristine, black handgun. Next to it were two black magazines, a single gold-tipped bullet visible in each. Holy shit, where did you get this? Leo snapped the box shut, nervously glancing around. I stole it from my dad's office, Eleanor said seriously. I overheard him talking to my mom yesterday. He said if he sees you come over again, he's going to shoot you. Now, Leo held the exquisite wooden box, staring at the gleaming black handgun inside, then looked at Eleanor's earnest face and couldn't help but feel moved. It was like a storybook romance. A down-on-his-luck boy falls for a wealthy heiress. Her parents vehemently oppose the match, but not only does she not care about his status, she secretly uses her family's resources to help him succeed. The heiress in front of him wasn't just using family resources. This was cold, hard steel, the great equalizer. And she had stolen it from her father's office and handed it over without a second thought. It was proof that, in her heart, he was more important than her own parents. Thank you, Eleanor, Leo said sincerely. He had always felt a little guilty about his relationship with her. Thank me for what? Don't be so mushy. You're making me feel awkward. Just keep the gun safe. I won't be able to come see you for a while. This was the first time Eleanor had seen Leo look so grateful, and a faint blush colored her cheeks as she shot him a look. Her tone grew heavy, and, you should try not to come here, either. We can just talk online. If my dad sees you, you're seriously going to die. 1. Cowardice, whoa, that's terrifying. In that case, you shouldn't come see me anymore. Let's just stop contacting each other. I'd like to live a few more years. Not recommended 2. Sincerity. Eleanor, if that's the case, let's pack our bags and run away together. We can fly to a country where your parents will never find us. Recommended 3. Humor. Scared of what? Give that thing back to your dad. In a few days, I'll get you an AK. I'll get myself a rifle, and we can 1v1 him in mid. Your mom can be the ref. Strongly recommended option 3 analysis. In a high-pressure situation, a woman wants her man to step up and share the burden. Using humor to state that he will face her parents' pressure with her is the best approach. Scared of what? Give that pistol back to your dad, Leo said, handing the wooden box back to Eleanor. In a few days, I'll get you an AK. I'll get myself a rifle, and we can 1v1 him in mid. Your mom can be the ref. Huh, really? Eleanor clutched the box, staring at him blankly. But I don't know how to shoot. I can't help you. Ha ha ha, I'm kidding. How are you so bad at taking a joke? Leo put his hands on her shoulders and looked at her seriously. Don't worry. Once I've handled a few other things, I will personally come to your parents and confess everything. If I let you carry this all on your own, then I really would be just a kept man, wouldn't I? Ding. Eleanor Hayes' affinity for the host has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 100. Unable to increase further. You are now the most important person in her life. But my dad will really shoot you, Eleanor whispered, her voice helpless and aggrieved as she clutched the box. A few tears escaped and rolled down her cheeks. She quickly raised a wrist to wipe them away. Aside from in bed, Leo had never seen Eleanor cry. He thought to himself that even when they were crying, beautiful girls were still captivating. The pressure on Eleanor these past few days had been immense. On one side was the man she loved. On the other, her parents. Even though her relationship with them was strained, she would never do something truly unforgivable. But she couldn't bear to abandon one for the other. She had been thinking that if there was no other way, she would just have to sneak around with Leo from now on. She never expected that he would voluntarily step up to share her burden. In a situation like this, Leo's display of rock-solid security was something no girl could resist. It's fine. Let him shoot, Leo said with a nonchalant shrug, reaching up to wipe away her tears. If he shoots me, I'll shoot you. Then we'll be even. Eleanor, who had been sniffling, blushed crimson. She turned away and muttered, Screw you. I was in the middle of the moment, and you just have to be you. TSK. What is with your sense of shame? You switch back and forth so fast I can't even keep up, Leo said, scratching his head with a laugh. All right, put the gun back. Don't go waving around in broad daylight. The police might take you away. He checked the time on his phone and figured he should go. He tilted his chin at her. Anyway, I'll come over in a couple of days to talk to your parents. I've got this. Don't worry. I know, Eleanor replied obediently, a newfound sense of trust and relief in her eyes. Now, as he was walking away, Eleanor suddenly called out his name. What's up? Leo turned back to look at her. And just so you know, I don't have time to discipline you right now. I have things to do this afternoon. I'm not that horny. Eleanor shot back, her face red. Then what is it? Leo tilted his head, watching her as she hesitated. Damn it, I love you, Leo. I fucking love you. Eleanor shouted, standing by the fountain and clutching the wooden box, pouring out all the emotion she had suppressed for so long. Her firm, sincere voice echoed around the villa. Leo stood there, stunned. A gentle breeze swept by, lifting Eleanor's soft black hair and veiling her exquisite face like a silk curtain. From behind the strands of hair, she flashed a brilliant smile, her white teeth gleaming, her lips curved in pure happiness. For real? I always thought you were just after my body, not my personality, Leo said, feigning doubt. Besides, what kind of girl swears that much during a love confession? I'll give you one more chance. Rephrase. Of course it's for real. Eleanor huffed, proud and triumphant. Then she shyly turned her back to him. I'm not saying it again. Now get lost. All right, I'm getting lost. Leo's casual voice came from behind her. When she turned back again, he was already driving away from the villa. Just as Eleanor was about to return the box, her phone buzzed with a notification. Her heart skipped a beat. She quickly pulled it out and opened it. Offline mode. You little slut. I fucking love you too. The kind that's realer than gold. When Leo got back to the Timeless Impressions apartment, neither Maya nor Chloe was home. The large living room was cold and empty, except for 2 game controllers lying on the sofa. He tried a video call to Chloe, but she didn't answer. So he called Maya instead. "Hey, honey, what's up? Miss me already?" Maya answered almost instantly, her lively voice chirping through the phone. In the background, an announcement for a grocery sale was playing. "I'm back. Are you and Chloe at the supermarket?" "Yep, we are." The fridge was empty, and Chloe said you were coming back today, so she insisted on dragging me out to buy some groceries. "Ouch. It's true. What did you pinch me for?" "Such a child," Leo chuckled, hearing the commotion on the other end. He guessed Chloe was still mad about the Eleanor situation and was deliberately ignoring his calls, but she didn't want to admit she was out buying food for him. It was classic Chloe, proud and stubborn. From her perspective, she probably knew nothing was going on between him and Eleanor. She was just angry that her boyfriend was caught up in a scandal with another woman. And because of his job, she couldn't even step forward and clarify that she was the real girlfriend. Dragging Maya out to buy groceries was proof that she was rational enough to know it was all just talk. Life had to go on, and she wasn't going to harp on the topic forever. But one thing was for sure. Even if she had forgiven him on the surface, he was still going to have to do some serious placating when she got home. "Is my girlfriend next to you?" Leo asked, sensing Chloe was nearby. He deliberately emphasized Chloe's title in front of Maya as a way of indirectly soothing her. Maya, however, just fanned the flames. "Both your girlfriends are here. I don't know which one you mean." "Give me the phone, you idiot," Chloe's voice came through. After a couple of small coughs, she adopted the tone of a warlord interrogating a subordinate. "What do you want?" 1. Deflect with cuteness. Change the subject. "Hey, babe, since you're at the supermarket, could you grab me a few cans of beer? Get the Polar Bear brand. Don't get the wrong one." Recommended 2. Confront her. State the facts. "Why are you so angry? I've told you multiple times that there's nothing going on between me and Eleanor. Why do you have to be so stubborn? If you can't handle it, then let's just break up." Not recommended. Choose with caution. 3. Go for broke. Start a fight. "What's with the attitude? Of all my girlfriends, you're the one with the worst attitude. Do you want me to call Eleanor over right now and try something new in your bed?" Not recommended. Option 1 analysis. For girls who respond to a soft approach, acting cute to get away with something is the most efficient way to placate them. "Hey, babe, since you're at the supermarket, could you grab me a few cans of beer? Get the Polar Bear brand. Don't get the wrong one." What? Chloe could hardly believe her ears. She had expected him to use this opportunity to apologize or at least explain himself. She never imagined he would completely ignore the issue and ask her to buy him beer. "In your dreams, I'd buy beer for a pig before I'd buy it for you." Chloe hung up in a huff, shoved the phone back at Maya, and stormed ahead. Maya quickly pushed the shopping cart after her. "My dear girl, what's wrong now?" Chloe was fuming. "He didn't say anything to me. He just asked me to buy him beer. What kind of boyfriend does that?" "Oh, come on. There's nothing to explain. What do you want him to say?" Maya tried to reason with her. Ever since the story about Eleanor and Leo broke, Maya had been the one to talk Chloe down from most of her jealous rages. This was the main reason Leo was willing to risk total catastrophe to get Maya on his side. In some ways, Maya understood Chloe even better than he did. She was the key to preventing a disaster when things eventually blew up. "Why are you always on his side? Are you even my best friend anymore?" Chloe tilted her head up, staring stubbornly at Maya. "Or are you two a thing now, so all you can do is defend him?" Insane. If I didn't consider you my best friend, I'd be whispering in both your ears right now, getting you two to break up on the spot so I could take your place, Maya said, rolling her eyes. "You think I enjoy this? That I have nothing better to do than talk you down? I just don't want you to do something stupid." But Leo has been paying less and less attention to me lately. Chloe's attitude softened, her voice tinged with melancholy. "Do you think he and Eleanor really have something going on? If they do, what am I supposed to do?" Chloe trusted Leo, for the most part. What she was really worried about was whether Eleanor actually liked him and was planning to make a move to steal him away. If that were the case, what chance did a girl from a normal family have against the richest heiress in Portland? Oh, please. Our Leo isn't that much of a player. And so what if that girl is a little prettier and a little richer than us? Maya said with a reassuring smile. "Don't forget, Leo's real dad is Connor Sterling, the richest man in Florida. If things really got serious, do you think his dad would just ignore his own son?" The realization dawned on Chloe. "Oh, right. Leo has a billionaire dad." "Exactly. So stop worrying about all this nonsense," Maya said, laying out a plan. "Once we finish college, you two can get married, and the three of us will live happily ever after." We're not even close to that yet. The mention of marriage made Chloe feel a mix of anticipation and shyness, along with a strange sense of unease. Maya raised an eyebrow. "In that case, Should I marry Leo instead? You dare. Chloe's eyes flashed. I'm already being generous by letting you have a piece of the action, and now you want to take over the whole thing? Hee hee hee. Maya laughed carefreely. Then her expression turned suggestive. Actually, I have an idea. It would ensure Leo never has the energy to be a player again. He wouldn't even have a thought. I'm just afraid you won't be willing. Chloe blinked curiously. What idea? Tell me. Well, Maya glanced around, then leaned in close to Chloe's ear and whispered something incredibly outrageous and explicit. As Chloe listened, her fair, delicate cheeks turned a visible shade of crimson. Are you out of your mind? Chloe yanked herself away, instinctively striking a Power Ranger defensive pose as she stared in horror at her outrageous best friend. Maya, do you have any idea what you're saying? If you're not ashamed, I am. Maya often joked with Chloe about threesomes, and Chloe had always brushed it off as just crude humor, never taking it seriously. But this time, the things she said painted a vivid picture, as if she genuinely wanted to turn these wild fantasies into reality. TSK, what's the big deal? I think it's perfectly normal, Maya said nonchalantly, pushing the full shopping cart. You like Leo? I like Leo, and Leo definitely wouldn't object. He'd probably love it if we did that. We're all going to be living together for the rest of our lives anyway, so we might as well be open about it. Hee hee, and besides, Chloe, don't you think it would be exciting? Maya's voice dropped to a seductive whisper, her breathing noticeably heavier. Exciting my ass, Chloe yelped, scurrying away as if afraid of being brainwashed by her deviant friend. Where are you going? We have to check out. You go get in line first. Just then, Chloe's phone buzzed with a notification. She glanced at it, let out a triumphant humph, and veered off toward the beer aisle. Oomph. The mouth says no, but the body says yes. Hurry up, I'm getting in line. Maya snorted dismissively and sauntered over to the checkout. Oh, right, I think we're out at home. The last box Chloe bought is probably almost empty. Better get some more. It'd be no fun if things got serious and we weren't prepared. While waiting in line, Maya casually picked up 2 different boxes of condoms from a nearby shelf, comparing them before nonchalantly tossing the larger-sized one into the cart. Her fluid, confident actions drew stares from a young couple standing nearby, who were both impressed and bewildered. They would never dare to so openly select such personal items in a place like a supermarket. But seeing Maya's fashionable attire, the couple subconsciously pegged her as one of those bad girls who frequented bars, which would explain her casual attitude. The old Maya, with her rebellious streak, would have reveled in their strange looks, feeling a sense of being the center of attention, much like a street racer girl. The current Maya, however, just found it rude. Just because I dress stylishly doesn't give you the right to look at me like that. And so, something happened that left the young couple even more dumbfounded. Chloe came jogging over from the beer aisle with a case of polar bear beer and stood behind Maya. Geez, it took me forever to find this brand. It's my favorite. You're the best, babe. Maya, fully aware of the couple's stares, decided to mess with them. She turned and planted a bold kiss on Chloe's forehead. Chloe recoiled, wiping her forehead in disgust. Insane. What's gotten into you now? The playful scene left the young couple speechless. They had mistaken the 2 beautiful girls for lesbians. But then why were they buying condoms? In a flash, the girl's eyes darted to Maya's lower body in horror as a shocking thought formed in her mind. Excuse me, is there a problem? Maya asked, a harmless smile on her face as she looked at the trembling couple. No, nothing, they stammered, quickly averting their gaze. Haha, but you didn't have to drag me into it. On the way back to the apartment, after Maya recounted how she'd pranked the couple, Chloe was both amused and annoyed. What if someone really gets the wrong idea about my orientation? I don't want people thinking I'm into scissoring. Nope, for safety's sake. I need to keep my distance from you when we're out. Ooh, scissoring, you say? Maya gave Chloe a mischievous look. I didn't know you used words like that. Did Leo teach you? TSK, none of your business. Chloe blushed. She, too, was surprised by her increasingly strange vocabulary. By the way, didn't you say you weren't going to get Leo beer? Maya glanced at the polar bear case in their bag and couldn't resist a jab. How come you got it for him? Didn't someone say they'd buy it for a pig before they'd buy it for him? Hee hee. Some of us can let things go. I'm just being the bigger person, Chloe said smugly, pulling out her phone to show Maya their recent chat history. Big Piggy, hey babe, since you're at the supermarket, could you grab me a few cans of beer? Get the polar bear brand. Don't get the wrong one, Chloe_no_8 AMs. You're so shameless. Is this the brand? Video 005 Big Piggy. Yup, that's the one. A case is enough. Thanks. Babe, I'll warm up your bed for you after dinner tonight. Chloe, I'm gonna correct M's. I don't need you to. You're not allowed in my bed tonight. Pouting cat emoji, big piggy. Then you can come to my bed. Same difference. Smug emoji, Chloe_no_8 AMs. I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm checking out. We're gonna have a long talk about Eleanor when I get back. Big piggy. Leo was an expert at handling Chloe. With the system's help, a single piggy emoji was all it took to get her floating on air again. Damn it, I'm jealous, Maya pouted. I want to be all cutesy with Leo like that too. Nope, I'm gonna have to talk to him more often from now on. Oomph. How long have I known him? And how long have you known him? You can't be jealous of our relationship, Chloe said, smugly putting her phone away. Then she asked curiously, by the way, what's your contact name for Leo? At that, Maya's envy vanished. Hee hee, it's better if you don't know. Her relationship with Leo, and the name she had for him, was in some ways much deeper than a simple romance. TSK, what could it be? Chloe shrugged nonchalantly. Don't tell me you actually call him Dad. P.S. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival. There should be 2 more chapters this afternoon.